Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close, I can taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
My handshake is better than anything I ever saw. It's right here.
You are a one-of-one?
My son's right about
I
it.
don't think I've ever said this before.
Okay, so, today's podcast is a special one because never in the history of my life have I started a podcast with taking a shot of olive oil, but we did that today together.
We both showed up not even knowing we both have a little bit of laryngitis. And I was like, that's crazy. I just flew in from Texas yesterday. And boom, I said, Frank Sinatra said, drink olive oil. We took a small shot and knocked about halfway out.
Yeah, it actually worked. It actually worked. But, I want to start off with the podcast because you and I, the first time we did the podcast was, I want to say 9/10/2018. Came to Austin, that legendary conversation. I want to show a clip of the most insightful moment of our podcast, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, you shared it with me yesterday. I think the audience has to see this, Rob. I texted it to you. If you can pull it up, you saved it a minute ago.
And my pot belly.
Yeah. Well, listen, this, Rob, I literally texted it to you right before we went live, and you pulled it up. There you go. Okay, so this is, it doesn't get more insightful than this. Can you play it up, Rob? Go back. Watch this, folks.
Patriot, vampire, nationalist, mental retard, eugenicist, a scared man.
Really?
Really?
Retard, traitor, vampire, next level, Moses, patriot.
We had a great conversation. You can bring it. We had a great conversation. That was, I think, a week or two right after you were taken out from all the apps. And obviously a lot's changed ever since where you're at now, what you got going on. We got a lot of stories to talk about. We got the Epstein stuff that's going on. We got the Pam Bondi stuff that's going on tied to the Epstein. El Paso, Kurt Cobain, Tyler Robinson, furry roommate. I don't know if you saw the story that just came out with that. But we got so many directions to go and what to talk about. Let's start off with Epstein, is what I want to get right into. So your open, unfiltered analysis of what you think happened yesterday with Pam Bondi's hearing.
Bondi is not even a bad person, but we knew when she first got in, she's a talking head. There's so much complexity going on in the DOJ. That's why she came out at first and said, oh, yeah, we have all these millions of files and hundreds of kids getting raped, and it's Epstein doing it. And then later we learned she was told that, and then she has to reverse it and say, well, actually, that's not what it is. It was a bunch of child porn. So we don't really know the truth about all that because there's so much over the almost 20 years of investigations about Epstein that's been slurped up. And also, last year they had the last 2 years, a hotline where anybody can just call in to the FBI or just send in paperwork, and any of that gets thrown in there. So that's why Trump is in there about 1 million times. But I'm also not an apologist for her. The DOJ has handled this totally horribly, and they've taken something where it's the Democrats that are known for sexualizing children, drag queen story time, all of it. It's the Democrats, in California lowering the age of consent, to 12-year-olds, and now it's only a misdemeanor, 2 days in jail if you rape a kid down to 12. I mean, literally. And somehow
is that really the law?
Absolutely. And now they've somehow turned it around where the Republican Party is the pedophile protection party when it's the Democrats that are 99% in the Epstein files actually doing stuff to kids. And then the media focuses on Ludnick, who I do think was BSing how much he knew Epstein. It's definitely financial. But okay, fine. He should resign over being caught lying. But let's go after the people that are Democrats that are implicated by witnesses raping young girls at the island, at Zorro Ranch, at the New York facility, and in Paris. Somehow the Democrats have turned this all the way around, and conservatives are demanding, yeah, Trump, you're covering it up, release it all. And that needs to be looked at, but we need to have the main focus be on the admitted stuff that's in all of this. Bill Gates, all of it, the Democrats, the leftists, all these top billionaires that have hated Trump. This is cut and dry, but somehow it's all been turned around against Trump, and a lot of that's because of the mishandling of Trump coming out saying it's all a hoax. And then Roger Stone went and talked to him and said, no, sir, you mean the stuff about you being involved is a hoax? Yeah, that's what I meant. But still, a few days ago, Pam Bondi said, we're moving on at the White House. Well, the rest of us aren't moving on. And so they are implicating themselves, even though I've researched it up one side and down the other, and there's very little bad stuff Republicans are in there doing. Epstein was mainly a Democrat, leftist system. That's why he's allied with all these leftist politicians in Europe that are having to resign in the UK and Europe proper. So I'm just calling it like it is. If I find something with Republicans or if I find something that they're doing, I'll go after them. But so far, we found almost nothing except for the old Republican Party, where Epstein originally got launched from. Then he became an operative of the Democrats. And if you want, I can do some of the background history on that, why I was the first to report on Epstein 18 years ago.
That's good.
Sorry about this, folks. Maybe more olive oil. We got it. So I've been on air 32 years, and I was on local radio. Then it got syndicated, and there weren't any other shows like mine really that were on commercial radio. They were on shortwave and like little conferences and books, and they were great people. And so I got to interview Ted Gunderson, who was high-level FBI retired. In fact, he was tapped to be the director, but he was too conservative, so he didn't get it when Hoover died. And I interviewed all these other top experts, like John DeCamp, that exposed the Franklin cover-up, and the Republican Party, the blue blood Republican Party, running kids, the same stuff for blackmail out of Omaha, Nebraska, and out of New York, and out of Penn State, and a bunch of other places. And that was cut and dry. They caught them. They went to jail. But it then got shut down. And a bunch of the people involved in the pedophile rings all magically died. So I knew John DeCamp, interviewed him many times, Ted Gunderson many times. And so they told me all of this. Kathy O'Brien, which has now been totally vindicated, she had been an MK Ultra mind control program that was attached to this. And a lot of that's been declassified. And so I knew about all this and heard about all this from them. And so I understood that. Then it also came out in 1989, all front page Washington Times. I've seen you cover it. Underage call boys, midnight visits White House. And so you have to understand that George Herbert Walker Bush had been the CIA director, youngest ever. Never been in the CIA, they said when they put him in there in the 70s, not true. He was basically, if you researched it, was even in the documents, running the JFK assassination operation as the man on the ground in 63. So that was his little reward. But later He's the head of the CIA, and then he's the head of the country. And he brings in Wes Wexler, and he is a Victoria's Secret, all of that. He is the handler of Epstein, who also works with Bill Barr, who had been the CIA liaison in Iran-Contra. Even at his young age, he ran Iran-Contra for George Herbert Walker Bush in a compartmentalized program under Reagan that Reagan didn't know about, and there was a big scandal over that. So then Barr gets promoted to be Attorney General, and then he's brought back by Trump later. So thank you. He's been Attorney General twice. And now Mike Benz exposed a bunch of this that wasn't part of the Epstein files, but knowing what to look for now in the millions and millions of public files. It was Bill Barr, George Herbert Walker Bush, the Les Wexner, and all of them in the early 90s that set up a CIA airline like Air America 2.0 or Evergreen Transportation in Ohio. They used for the first funding of that the Somali conflict, and they bring in the first 30,000 Somalis into Ohio. Okay, and
this is what year?
This is 1991.
Okay,
and this is all public. And a lot of this research, I had a lot of this research, but then I've watched like 10 hours of Mike Benz, just every 6-hour, 4-hour programs, just this document, that document, totally mapping it. So you have the CIA with Bill Barr bringing in Epstein to be basically the front man for the airline. So he's already, by 1991, he is already the head of the cutout for major CIA operations. Now, why'd they pick him? Bill Barr's father was like number 5 in OSS in World War II. Then he was like number 3 in CIA. This is all public. Then he runs an all-girls school in New York that Epstein is hired at like 26 years old to come in and, boy, suddenly becomes like the deputy principal over these girls. Donald Barr then writes a book called Space Relations.
Strangest book.
About humans working with aliens to kidnap children in sex slavery on a faraway planet. So, very nice person. The point is that they are it's Bill Barr, known CIA, his dad, known CIA, Herbert Walker Bush, known CIA. They use the cutout first money claiming it's for Somali refugees, and they get a couple $1 billion to set up hundreds of aircraft, some of them, like passenger jets. They set all this up, and they're using it for money laundering, drug trafficking. It wasn't just Mena, Arkansas, and the Clintons over here working with the CIA and the Bushes. That's all come out. It was also over here in Ohio. And so that's how important Epstein was all the way through, that he was so trusted that he was put in charge. Now, I didn't know this till the Bannon interview came out that was not released by Bannon, but was in the Epstein files, the 2-hour interview from 2017 or 18. Everybody's got to watch it because I thought, this is going to be boring. I watched it. My mouth was hanging open. I knew that Epstein was part of the Trilateral Commission, but that's like saying you're the head of, Valuetainment, and then you've got, a secretary or something, that's important, but they're not the head of it. I thought, okay, but he must have. I always heard he was in the Trilateral Commission. No, I'm watching that show, that interview, and he's like, no, David Rockefeller approached me to be his right-hand man for systems analysis, such as I could integrate all these systems together, and because they had too many experts at just one level, and he knew about my work, with some other groups, being the CIA. So he brought me in to be his representative, and so they put him on the board of the Trilateral Commission, which is one of the most powerful globalist elite or super organizational systems, precursor to the World Economic Forum. So Larry Fink's the head of the World Economic Forum today. It was Klaus Schwab. It's equivalent of him of a 30-year-old being on the board of the WEF today. Okay, which has co-voting rights with the UN. So he is the protege and attaché and basically imperial legate. That's a Roman term for someone that can speak for the emperor. David Rockefeller set up the UN, set up the modern globalist system. He's on record doing it all. Here is a 30-year-old man that is literally given the control to fly around the world and be the representative of David Rockefeller.
He's saying this in the Steve Bannon interview?
He is, but then here's what, I didn't just believe Jeffrey Epstein. I already knew I went and looked all this up, and it's all public. So it was all, the Trilateral Commission has documents on its own site and talks about the meetings and the things that Epstein chaired meetings with world leaders. So we knew decades later he's got all these world leaders calling him and, all this stuff. But he was, what's the Trilateral Commission do? It's all the leaders, the intelligence agencies, the big corporations, the governments and academia all together, just the leadership, and then coordinates globally through the 3 pillars, Europe, Asia, and North America. The point is, this is the precursor to everything we see today. And so now you know what the Epstein thing is really all about. Now, obviously, through the underage stuff and the pedophilia, that he was brought in, clearly, when he went to that girls' school and the rest of it, that's just the gateway drug with these people from my studying of them and what Ted Gunderson and all of them told me. And they explained that, no, they really do, like to torture kids and drain off their blood and have the endorphins, not just the adrenaline. And so I knew all this MO. And so that's how I was able to explain to people. People found videos now 18 years old. They're posted right now on Infowars.com today, where I'm saying, no, it's a cult, it's Satanism, it's black magic. This is what they really do. Because it's not just Epstein, it's the people up above him to be able to do the horrible stuff they do. They have worldviews and world models that we're just animals, that we need to be sacrificed, that they're the Ubermenschen because they're willing to do this. We're weak, they're not. And so you have to understand, this is a standardized system. Before they called it mind control, before they called it intelligence agencies, before they called it that, they called it secret societies. And really all secret societies have been, some have been good, some have been bad, some have been a mix. But the bad ones, the dark ones as they call it, the occult ones, the hidden ones, they have always used torture and drugs and sex and what you'd call mind control, trauma-based mind control. And just in the modern parlance, they took that and then institutionalized it. So you go to Skull and Bones, set up in the 1820s, or I think even earlier, by the main heirs to the Opium Trust of the British East India Company. That's public knowledge that they set up Skull and Bones off of the Druidic and Germanic Druidic teachings. And we have this because the daughter of one of the members, when he was dying of cancer, gave it to his daughter, who was the head of Department of Education then under Reagan, Charlotte Isby, who I interviewed many times. Her father was on it. They gave the information to Anthony Sutton, the Senate archivist, and who I knew very well, talked to many times. And so they were able to release it. So what they do at Skull and Bones is, this is the elites of the elites, is they they pick them, they get in it, and then they basically, by increment, explain to them, you're going to become possessed by a god. They don't call it a demon. And then all the Skull and Bones leadership comes in the last few days, and they've been for days sleeping naked in coffins, trying to channel these entities. They're bathing in feces, in huge vats, urine. And this is even in the movie The Good Shepherd with Matt Damon, produced by Robert De Niro. And it's in there. And it's all, that's what they do. And so imagine, all I'm saying is that's for people that are 18 years old, 19 years old. These are just like MS-13 wants you to not just kill somebody now, they want you to sacrifice some carbon pentagram in them. And they want you to do it to a kid. That's now what they've graduated their initiations to higher up leadership is. And so, again, it's the same thing where it's a rite of passage. You got to do horrible things to prove yourself. And that's what this all is. And so that's how I was able to tell everybody that it's far worse than 14-year-old girls. They've just focused on them because here's the thing. I'm not against these women. They are victims. They were under Stockholm Syndrome. But Elon Musk is right. Here's the big secret. What everybody when you're growing up tell you, what the FBI is putting bulletins. Ice cream truck pulls up. There's a kid in the back. I got a puppy. Come see the toy. They use kids to other kids. The women that they've, settled with and then the victims and all this stuff, almost all of them are the women that ended up working for Epstein for years and years and years.
Recruiting other young girls to come to him. For
Absolutely.
$200, $100.
Absolutely.
They'll get paid.
Absolutely. Some were bought at age, this is public, at age 9 or 10 from their Eastern European parents, flown here and then worked for him for decades. And so exactly, they're the ones that manage and run the women. And so when you see these women up there, you have to understand that in many cases, you're looking at people that for 5 years, 10 years worked for Epstein and were part of it. But see, that's how they stop it. Those women then tell a limited story about what was going on. But then you read the names of some of the women, they're in all the emails preparing the beef jerky, walking the beef jerky up. They're in the things preparing it to be sent to the labs so it can be broken down and sent to people. That's getting to the IV bags. They're I'm not trying to put these women down. It's just saying, notice in the hearing yesterday or 2 days ago, they asked Bondi, they said, have you ever interviewed any of these women? And she goes, I don't know. So they asked.
Can you play the clip, Rob?
I'll find it.
Can you play
and they asked the women, and none of them have ever been talked to. But if you look, a couple of the women in there were actually girlfriends after they were adults and worked for Epstein for over a decade, and it turns out worked for George Soros. So see, I'm not trying to demonize the women. I'm just saying it's what you're seeing is not what you're actually getting here, okay? And so it doesn't go down to all the kids that got eaten. It doesn't go down to all the kids that got strangled and thrown in the
Some of these girls that are up there, you're saying worked for Soros?
One of them, I can pull it up, currently does on the Tides Foundation.
Play the clip, Rob.
Okay.
Ask them if that's true. Now, would the survivors and victims who are here please stand up one more time? Just by show of hands, how many of you or your loved ones actually have met with the Department of Justice and provided testimony and estimate and evidence? None. And of those of you who have not met, which is everyone, how many of you have reached out either individually or through a lawyer or representative to offer to provide testimony and evidence? All of them. And of those of you, all of you who have reached out, how many of you were denied or ignored by the Department of Justice? All of them. And despite the shameful and despicable efforts by Ms. Bondi and her department to intimidate you, how many of you are still willing to speak to the Department of Justice? All of them. Well, Ms. Bondi, it looks like you have some more witnesses to talk to. Gentlemen's time has expired.
Now, I'm not defending Bondi. She's involved in the cover-up. I can get into how and why for more information. But then she knows it's a whole nother level because I'm not saying all the women. I forget her name. I can pull it up. You see the one right there with the large breasts and short in the middle of like kind of strawberry blonde hair? I can pull her name up.
Yes.
Her. Yeah. She is high-level operative. She met Epstein at 21, basically worked for them.
What's her name?
I can pull it up. But she worked for them. It's in the news. She worked for them for almost 10 years. And the point is, a lot of these people are in the emails. So you have to understand, guys, why does it stop at 14, 15-year-old girls? Because they don't want you And the Republicans don't want to go there. The Democrats don't want to go there. They don't want to go to, we got the sex slave at the Hyatt. The finances been taken care of. Okay, yeah, I just bought these babies from these women. Yeah. I mean, and then you have police reports of women saying, yeah, I'm at Zorro Ranch. They took my baby away from me. You have police reports from totally separate deals, and then you have in the files him talking about the same thing. Hundreds of emails. We have the smoking guns. We need 100 FBI agents out there with ground-penetrating radar digging up Zorro Ranch. They need to be tearing out the walls at all these places. Where are the hundreds of hard drives they took out of Zorro Ranch? That's the real cover-up, okay? So everything's a limited hangout. Everything stops with, these girls that got recruited at 14, it's so terrible. And yeah, okay, it is terrible, but the ones that got killed or committed suicide were the ones that explained, no, those other girls, most of them, they worked for Epstein. They were the ones managing it, running it. In these emails, they would have a girl, 12, 13 that they grabbed, they'd bring her there, and it's in the emails, and he's like, you're a fat slob, and you better take care of these men or we're going to make you stay in this closet. But once you're nice, you can hang out with the nice ladies upstairs. So they would use female control and females wanting to be with females, socially to get these women with peer pressure into the Stockholm syndrome. And so all I'm saying is, when Bondi knows full well that if she goes and talks to those women, they already know what the setup is. And there's been a deal made above that.
Interesting. So there's a risk to talk to them. Because the average person watching this, Alex, is going to be like, well, remember the debate with Hillary and Trump. And Trump says, let me tell you who we have here. He had all the ladies that were accused, that were victims of Bill Clinton. And she didn't know how to handle it. And the audience looked at it. I would say that was one of the biggest stunts that helped Trump beat Hillary.
I agree.
The average person who watches this, they look at it and say, why don't you talk to the victims? Why don't you go speak to them? Why don't you want to hear their stories? What is the risk for Bondi to speak to them?
Again, I want to be clear. I'm trying to show people the different angles of the 35,000-foot view. I think Bondi's handled this terribly. I believe they are involved in a cover-up, which has led them right into this disaster. And I'm going to answer your question, but first I want to say this. That's why Trump has to go there with all the human sacrifice, with the blood drinking, with the black magic on the blackboard, with the buried bodies, with the buying babies, with the disappearing children, and it's all Democrats connected to it. Instead, as Bondi said in the hearing yesterday, she said it'll bring down the stock market if this is known. I've said that about 500 times. Not that I agree with that, but I've been told, right before Trump got reelected, they said, listen, Mossad, British intelligence, CIA ran this. It's really a giant money laundering operation, which we already knew. Yeah. Mike Pence has proven. Trump believes that it's also cold. There's no way to prove it. The Democrats have had the file. They're going to twist it. He's been convinced it's all disaster. It's old news. It's designed to be a tar baby, which it is. So he's going to say, let's just move on. But I explained at the time, and I've told the White House this, you can't. It's a trap. This is how the people that are guilty trick you into becoming an accomplice and then manage it and turn it around and politically destroy you. And then, of course, none of the truth ever comes out. It's all a giant smokescreen of garbage and fake AI and the rest of it. So I was just simply bringing that clip up, not to obfuscate from the clip, that's why I raised it, but to say, here's the other layers to it that are going on. Now, to answer your other question, yes, this looks absolutely horrible. She looks like a deer in the headlights. She looks like she has a gun to her head. Like when we saw Bongino and Patel 11 months ago get up on Fox, they go, I know we said there were another shooter in Pennsylvania. There wasn't. Epstein acted alone. In fact, he wasn't even a child trafficker, and he had no accomplices, and he killed himself, and the Easter Bunny is real. And everybody turned against him because we'd already studied it. We knew it wasn't true, plus it was a 180. So it's the same thing. It looks terrible. It is terrible. It's hurting Trump really bad. It's hurting America. And again, my frustration is it lets the Democrats, who are the ones that are really guilty, if you look at the evidence, pretend that it's Trump and the Republicans that are the pedo protection party. And notice they're not going to the big reports of top Democrats and people raping kids and all the witnesses and everything. They're focusing on Lutnick, which is fine. Lutnick obviously was in business with him, obviously moved in next door to him, lied and said he only saw him once and thought he was a creep and ran out of his house with his wife, and then a couple of years later, he's out on his island with his kids. Okay, no. But Lutnick's never been implicated in any of the illegal stuff. Fine, fire Lutnick, or if you found him in a crime, indict him. But let's spend as much time on the hardcore cannibalism, Satanism, human trafficking, buying, selling children, and that's Democrats.
They're not there yet. They're not there yet, by the way. It doesn't seem like they're there yet. This is the clip I think you were talking about, Rob. You may want to fast forward to the part.
Jump in here whenever you want.
No, I get that. Go for it, Rob. When he starts saying, yeah, go ahead.
He killed himself. You want me to? I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
This is the clip you were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. So, a part of it for me yesterday, I watched the Bondi hearing, and I asked myself, I couldn't find one clip that made her look good. Not one. Typically, these hearings, you'll say, okay, she won this one, they won this one, this was even, this was whatever, nobody won here, she took this one. I don't know if I found the clip. Now, don't get me wrong. The whole fighting back and pushing back and all that stuff, was that present? Sure. Asking Jasmine Crockett, she goes for 5 minutes, doesn't ask a single question, or the other lady who doesn't bring up Hakeem Jeffries, or calling out a lot of these people, that's great. There's a part of it that some people are speculating. Tell me what you think about this, where the DOJ or the AG was monitoring what the representatives were searching when they were going to look at the Epstein files. I don't know if you saw that or not. Rob, do you have that?
I'll find it.
There's a story going around that they were actually monitoring what these representatives were searching when they went to look at Epstein files. What do you know about that story?
Oh, I'll guarantee you that was going on. I mean, I haven't seen the story, but of course they were. Everything in those computers is being monitored, and there's a record of it.
So meaning if I'm whoever I am, I'm going to go out.
It's just like when you search your own files or you search Google, you're there searching a private database of the DOJ. Of course, they know who logs in, this congressperson, and then now they know what they're going to look at. They have a record of it.
So they know exactly what you're looking at. Why would they want to know what you're looking at?
I mean, by default, that's the way computers work. I don't know if that story is particularly true. I just know that's the way computers work.
Yeah, where is that story that Rob that's saying that happened?
Right here. This is Representative Nancy Mace of South Carolina said full release of the names of the Epstein files would shock the world. And then there is an article here this morning. Justice Department tracking which Epstein files lawmakers are searching for, opening, and reviewing. According to this is Nancy Mace as well.
Yeah, that's a 2-month-old story as well on what they're looking at. I guess it makes sense to see what person's story they're interested in. The other part of it is...
Well, no. It means the watchers are, who's going to watch the watchers? And so, I agree it's Big Brother. I'm just saying by the very nature of it, they have the technology, so I'm sure they are monitoring what they're watching.
I would assume this is something both sides probably do. The other part of it is, the Dems, they only want one person. They want Trump, right? They want to get Trump. This has been going on under 4 presidents that people have been looking at. Why is it that it's fallen on this administration's mishandling of the files? Because right now the left is running with this. They're saying they're hiding it. Massey and Ro Khanna are coming together. This is not a good look on the current administration.
Well, you just nailed it. But going back to your last thing you said about Bondi, and then I'll cover that, if I may. Even Senator Kennedy, who's a Republican and likes her, he had to tear her up on Epstein. So even Senator Kennedy had to nail her. And that's because she's been sent in there to sell something that isn't going to sell. And everybody keeps blaming her and blaming even Todd Blanche, who, by the way, doesn't like me. I'm not defending him. They're following Trump's directives. And I said this, about a year ago when the cover-up started, and it's been since confirmed. So it's Trump that thinks it's a distraction and a diversion and tar baby, which it is. But it doesn't matter because, exactly, the Democrats never wanted to touch it. They covered it up. They controlled the files. That's why there's all these clips going around, I saw today, of Don Lemon, just 3 years ago, going, how dare the Republicans try to investigate the Epstein files? This is bigoted, and this is horrible, and this is crazy, and this is terrible. So, yeah, and that's what Trump should be pointing out. You're the pedo party. You're the sexualized kids party. It's all the Democrats that are in these files. But because there are so many big bankers and British royalty and all of it, he has been told, that's what I was told. Again, I've said this probably 100 times. I said Trump has been convinced that it will crash the economy if all these bankers and people, if this stuff comes out, and he thinks end justifies the means, it's too dangerous. And look, Trump, I'm not pushing this, I'm saying let's look at his perspective. The carbon taxes have been estimated by top experts that they put them in the next decade to kill 2 billion people by starvation and war. Okay, Trump just got us out of the Paris Accord. They've secured the border. They found half of the 500,000 missing children. They've got no tax on tips. The economy is starting to turn around. It goes on and on and on and on and on. Getting men out of women's sports, exposing the NGOs, the election fraud. I mean, it's great. That's why it's paradoxical. I want Trump to succeed, but he has to understand that this has become a litmus test.
They're not going to win here if they continue going this way. If they continue fighting, opening it up, this is just going to make it seem like they're hiding something more and more and more. So what should they do? Should they release the whole thing? Well, what is the right move to make here? And by the way, before you answer that question, guys, you've been asking this for a long time. It's official. Alex Jones is on Manect. You can officially ask him any questions on Manect. And I know for the longest time you guys have been saying, let's get Alex on. Rob, I don't know if the QR code is going to be on the bottom or not, or an ability to ask him questions. You guys may have stories of Epstein, angles, other questions, things you want to share with him. You can officially Manect them. Go ahead, Alex.
By the way, that's a cool service, but meaning to do that.
I know you couldn't. No, it's in a better place now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, did I answer your last question?
No. So I asked the question, so what should they do? Because for me, as I'm sitting there, if I score the biggest victories, crime, murder down 20%, border, beautiful, safe, people feel safe, having their kids play outside, San Diego, Arizona, Texas, New Mexico, nice. We're winning in some of these areas.
D.C.
Right, D.C., safe for all crime, all this stuff. Minnesota, Minneapolis, ICE, maybe a couple fumbles there, sure. This is number one fumble. And so if they hired 5 advisors to go sit in a room with them, these are logical players, you're one of them, what counsel do you give to them?
Well, when I was driving here this morning, I know the White House watches your show. They watch mine, but not as much. But I've been told by the folks they love your show, and I hope they listen. Look, I know they listened. Mark Mitchell, the pollster, was on my show a few months ago, and they really liked what he had to say. So the vice president brought him to meet with Trump and try to explain the same stuff. Which Mitchell was on my show yesterday, just saying this is you got to stop. He's right. He's one of the most accurate pollsters. It's killing Trump. My family, people on the street, my callers, my listeners. I've got my finger on the pulse. I don't need a poll to tell people. People want a rebel that goes after the evil deep state. We cut our teeth exposing the Democrats as the pedophile protection party. It's Keir Starmer was the head judge that wouldn't prosecute one pedophile for 15 years in the UK and protected the Islamic grooming gangs. And then now he's all tied in with all these people at Epstein's Island, and he won't resign. I mean, it's like they're up to their eyeballs in the real stuff, and Trump is just saying, I'm not involved. I didn't do anything. I dropped the dime, which is in the FBI files. Well, where's Trump at a press conference? See, I was the FBI informant. I got him arrested 18 years ago. I broke down Roger Stone like 11 years ago before he even ran. So that's what's crazy is, though, he knows there's so much garbage. And that's what they explain. They go, sir, in the last year of Biden, they implemented this tip line. And I was telling people that were in the cabinet meetings when they convinced him of this. They go, sir, they implemented this tip line. And anybody by fax or email or phone can call in and fill out a report. So schizophrenic women, like in August, you'll call in and say, I was at Mar-a-Lago and Trump and Elon, raped me and all this stuff. And it turns out they weren't even at Mar-a-Lago then. Or another report. I was at this golf course this year and Trump raped me and did this. The golf course wasn't built for 5 years. So Trump goes, what? You mean there's a public? And now, sir, you see Jamie Raskin and Schumer. Trump is in the files 1 million times. Well, because it's all so now they've got this ongoing tip line. So when you hear that there's 3 million more files they haven't given you, next month it'll be 5 million. You understand? Because it's a perpetual motion machine. It's a cornucopia. It just spews it. So I'm not defending this. I'm telling you what Trump's been told. And that's why I said he's told it'll crash the stock market. Bondi yesterday, it'll crash the stock market. And it's not like if they had targets they could get, or even a few of their own people they could sacrifice, they do it. They know it's a giant mess of BS and crap. And then the women that are the victims and the survivors, almost all of them were, got into it. And that's how it worked. And we're actually madams, out running these operations. And now they've been recruited and snapped up by the Democrats and are now on the payroll. That way, all the Democrats that are in there can be protected by the witnesses. Oh, we're not going to talk about kids disappearing or beef jerky. We're not going to talk about one piece of pizza that's glowing and loving, and you're going to love it for 7 people. We're not going to talk about, we'll deliver the...
These are the files?
Oh, yes. We'll deliver the 7, 9, and 12-year-old to the hot tub for your entertainment, Mr. Podesta. But remember, they're children, but they're well-trained. But you got to, And it's not just it's also in the WikiLeaks files. So all the same crap is in there that is in here. And it all just goes...
This is the clip you were talking about, Rob, if you want to play it. Don Lemon on Anderson Cooper saying you shouldn't go after Epstein's files. Go ahead.
I think it's interesting when you look on the internet and you see the bigotry on the internet and the people who have been, these conspiracy theories about QAnon and about Jeffrey Epstein. There's a picture of me on the internet, right, where someone has superimposed the face of Jeffrey Epstein over Chris Cuomo and I, like hanging out, and there are people who actually believe it. And people say, well, not all Trump supporters are bigots or racists. Okay, fine, you can believe that. But when I look at all the people who put things like that on the internet, 99 times out of 100, it is a Trump supporter. So people should think about that as they are placing those things on the internet, as they are wearing political messages in the workplace as well.
Yeah. Well, talking about that, there's a fake flight manifest that has like 100.
That you're on it.
Yeah, I'm allegedly on it. Obviously, if you want to see who was on that flight, there are court documents, and there's like a handful of people whose names you might know who were, who were ever on any flights of his.
Here's the same tag they ran. WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, about 2 months before the election in 2016, releases millions of emails. So everybody goes and jumps in them and verifies them and checks them. And there's all these emails about upstate New York and other places with the Podestas, with others, like, hey, we're going to have our Thelema rituals tomorrow. We're bringing the spirit cooking. That's blood. And it's all in there. And there's famous emails and it's a well-known woman that ran a service where kids come and play with you, and you can order them online and stuff, and it's her delivering the 3 children to John Podesta at the wooded facility, and then they'll be in the hot tub waiting for you for your entertainment. And this is all the reality. Well, how did they divert off? They then had the New York Times and CNN report on 4chan and 8chan diverting off to a pizza place in D.C. that the people were part of, but nothing was really going on there, with imaginary underground torture facilities that didn't exist, so they could go report on the fake story instead of the real stuff over there, you understand? So that's how they were discrediting it, saying, oh, there's no Epstein, there's no pedophilia, it's all fake stuff about us. And that's another thing happening. Somebody's flooding Facebook, X, TikTok with famous footage of Trump at beauty pageants and things like that.
Young girls, these are all AI deep fakes. They're everywhere.
And they march in the little girls. Yeah. And it's admitted fake. You can even see it's famous videos of Trump. You can find the original video at a pageant.
But they work. Even if 20% believes it, they work. Some of these clips, I don't know about this one. No. There are some of them that's literally young girls. You'll see like 10-year-old, 12-year-old girls that deep fakes are being made.
It's the one that starts with there's a bunch of them, with like a little girl crying on stairs holding her crotch. It's not pornographic, but clearly the implication she's just been raped. And then it cuts to all these shots of Trump at Mar-a-Lago and stuff that are known videos that we know and then they mesh them in with all these little girls. They're crying and Trump's pointing at them, and then they cut in. Yeah, it's sick.
Did you see the 2006 phone call that the president made to the PD saying, hey, Ghislaine Maxwell's evil? That story that came out 2 days ago. You saw that? Yes. Rob, if you want to pull that up. Trump told Palm Beach police chief everyone knew about Epstein. Maxwell was evil. Go a little bit lower. So why did this story not come out earlier? Why is it coming out now?
Well, this is spinning like it's bad that he said they were bad then, but now he says Ghislaine's not bad now. Roger Stone wrote a book on this. We were all vetting Trump. I was, right before I endorsed him. I was one of the first to do it. It was on record and it come out in court that Trump dropped the dime on him 18 years ago because he pulled Virginia Giuffre, who was like 15 and worked there, out, and he got pissed off about it. And so you even have Michael Wolff in recordings going back 5, 6, 7 years of them trying to get him to say something about Trump. He's like, no, he never got a massage. No, he never was around the girls. He was never around the kids. No, but he did drop a dime on me, and he's a piece of shit, and he's the worst guy ever, and he's such a scammer, and he rips everybody off in business, which means Trump beats people. So I mean, it's literally Trump dropped everything Roger Stone told me back when he was trying to recruit me to support Trump, that Trump was going to win, which I vetted and got into. He explained how it all worked and how they're going to attack Trump for this, but it was really Trump first exposed it. And then now all that stuff has come out because Roger lives here. I mean, he's been at Mar-a-Lago since Trump got it. He's been Trump's friend for 50 years. I mean, everything Roger's ever told me has been accurate. I mean, he told me, and by the way, I like Steve Bannon. I don't think Steve Bannon's a bad guy. He was involved with Epstein. Epstein was very politically powerful. He was really the shadow head of the Trilateral Commission. People say he can control these world leaders. He really did. Okay, the emails of Bannon are, how do we overthrow the left and get populists in the UK? And he's asking Epstein advice on that. So, I mean, Bannon calls me all the time and sends me links and says, how do we do this? How do you put pressure on that? Hey, we need to get on this. Bannon works like 18 hours a day. I'm not defending it. I probably wouldn't have hung out with Epstein. But the contacts with him are there, and it's what Bannon always said they were. It was elections. It was contacts, because Epstein was like, you could get any number you wanted, any information from him. So Bannon was going, he even says in the interview, are you the devil? You're a pretty bad guy.
Can you pull up that clip?
But I mean, he's like going to the Trilateral Commission. This is David Rockefeller handed it over to him.
How many hours was that? Did he say 14 hours?
Well, they say there's a whole bunch of hours, but I think all the feds got was like 2 hours.
Wolf has 100 hours. I had Wolf on, and we talked about it. Rob played his clip.
I told him the devil,
100%.
the devil
himself.
The devil himself said, "I'm going to exchange some dollars for your child's life."
Do you think you're the devil himself?
No, but I do have a good mirror.
It's a serious question.
Sorry.
Do you think you're the devil himself?
I don't know. Why would you say that?
Because you have all the attributes. You're incredibly smart. You remember, the devil is somebody who knows.
Smart?
The devil's brilliant. You read Milton's Paradise Lost.
No, the devil scares me.
Satan is the
Bannon for asking this.
Number 1 or 2 archangel, and the reason he goes to hell and leads the rebellion is because he can't be the top guy. And his thing is, I'd rather reign in hell than serve in heaven.
I saw that in a movie once called American Dharma. I don't remember who said it. Okay, we have to go.
Okay, good.
Okay. Told him.
So, and so there are. I'm not saying Kabbalah itself is satanic, but any teaching has its dark and light side. But Jewish mysticism goes back to King Solomon and even before that. And in the Old Testament, they say you don't get involved in it, but then you get the New Testament start getting written. Like there's 30 plus other books, written by the rabbinic mainline, Jewish groups since then. And then there's a bunch of books written by Solomon, and I've actually read them. And that's the symbol of Israel. Is really the seal of Solomon. It's not the Star of David. That's just a made up modern name. But in all of that, there are experts on it, like serious scholars that don't really practice it, but know how to decipher it. So remember when James O'Keefe got footage inside that showed the temple and gargoyles and everything inside the blue and white striped temple with the gods and goddesses on top of it, and the chimeric gods, mix of animals and humans. So, but by the time O'Keefe got that footage, somebody had erased the answer to the equation. So he had this esoteric equation, but only if you do Kabbalistic research and then all the modern stuff, AI and everything integrated into it, would you then get the answer? And then the answer is the takeover and total enslavement and destruction of humanity, and how they're going to use AI and all these other systems integrated into the banking system to do it. And then when you watch the interview with Bannon, he's talking about, and that interview was like 2018, he's talking about how the AI is already out of control. We don't even know how to program it. It's going to take over, but it's okay. We're going to merge with it. And you can see that he's at the highest levels of all of this, planning this with big tech and everybody else. I mean, it's truly insane.
Yeah. By the way, you were mentioned in the files, 14 times? And I think in one of the letters, he said something negative about you and called the president an elephant. I don't know what it was. Jones is crazier than Trump or the elephant. Who's Paul Krasner? He's a globalist. You look him up. Yeah.
But there's actually 16 we found now.
16.
Yeah, but I like the fact he doesn't like me.
That's a compliment.
But I love how
similar to Rogan.
I love how my enemy spun it, though. they would spin it like Jones is in the files, he won't respond. And I'd see all these comments. I'm like, what do you mean I didn't respond? I just covered it as soon as I knew about it. It's like, but they just throw it out like. Anyways,
who is this guy, Rob?
This is according to Google, this is Paul Krasner, the person that was emailing Jeffrey Epstein, this specific email right here.
Got it. Question for you about Thomas Massie, Rob. Can you pull up the clip with Massie and Bondi? There's a part about Massie and Bondi going back and forth. This is it. I want to get your thoughts on Massie. Go ahead, Rob.
Respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed. There was one redaction out of
he's
over
listed as a co-conspirator.
4,700, and we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get. You're a failed politician. You need to get on these matters.
Mr. Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the rules here.
There is no credible information.
What do you think about Massie?
I think this is the only time where she was right. But I think Massie overall is the good guy comparatively. So I'm not putting him down. Just if you look at this one play, because I did see this last night. One reason I didn't sleep last night, I got addicted watching all this. This stuff's too riveting. They did leave Les Wexner, who's the CIA controller, an owner of Victoria's Secret, a bunch of brands.
He's the one that gave the largest private residence, Manhattan, 54,000 square foot house to Epstein as a gift. That was a $77 million property for no reason.
And he just so happened to own the house that Lutnick moved into next door. It was
who owned it? Wexner?
Yep, same
I
deal.
didn't know that.
In a trust.
Really?
In a trust, yeah.
Wow.
It was called Common.
So he bought it from him. Lutnick bought it from Wexner?
He didn't even know that, and that's actually true, because I spent hours seeing if Lutnick was lying about this. It was just some big Manhattan real estate trust, but it turned out it was owned above it by Wexler and Epstein.
Yeah, I mean, those things you can't control. I live in an area where Paul Castellano, the boss of the, one of the big, I think it was the Gambino family or the Colombo family who owned the house. So, hey, how did you get the house? Some of those things you can't control. But go back with the story.
Did Al Capone retire and die around here or something?
Yeah. You hear these types of stories. But go back to Massie. Massie saying that about Bondi. You were going to say something.
Oh, there's so much to say about Massie. I mean, here's the deal. I've tracked this. I know the people that got involved, talking to Massie, Emerald Robinson, and so many others. Literally just got him asking questions a couple years ago, even before Trump got back in, and Massie was on this because the American people want it. That's why we're covering it. And then Trump gets in and says, yeah, we're going to go look at it, and then says, no, there's nothing there. It's a hoax. And we're like, what do you mean? And now there's all these documents. And then Trump starts saying, we got to get rid of Massie. He's a traitor. Trump started that. Trump is committing political suicide again with little cuts. He ran off MTG. I know the inside baseball on that. And I still support him. I've been nothing but persecuted supporting him. I don't get any money supporting him. All I get is attacks and lawsuits by the Democrats. Because overall, it's good what he's doing on so many fronts. He's dismantling the globalists. He's really bringing $20 trillion in jobs back. Already about $8 trillion invested. He's already got energy prices down substantively. So, but I have a responsibility still to report. He went and started a fight with Massie.
Why?
And made weird statements about his wife after she died. And then he attacked MTG. And listen, MTG isn't running for senator or governor. She's always been a successful woman in her own right. Had a very successful construction company, making tens of millions a year. I talked to her, good friends with her. I knew she was going to resign 5 days before she did. She said, I think I'm going to step down. I can't handle it. And she said, Alex, this is off record. But then later it came out. She said it again, so I can say it. They had a deep fake AI saying it, but that was culled, though, from real statements she made, basically. She goes, the last time I really talked to him at any length, he just said, listen, we can't have these files come out because it'll hurt the stock market. It'll discredit America, the faith and credit, basically, and it'll embarrass my friends.
Who said that?
Trump.
Said it to who?
Her. And now you got Bondi yesterday saying it in the Congress. But Roger Stone, when he was president-elect, said, hey, just so you know, this Epstein thing's going to be a big problem. And Roger doesn't mind me saying this now. But he said Trump's had the CIA come to him. He didn't tell me what Trump said, but they have dinner all the time. And he goes, Trump thinks it's going to ruin the economy, and it's a big tar baby, and the Democrats have had the file, and it's a setup, and the intelligence agencies say it can bring down the whole country. So, don't expect Trump to, but again, you can see how it's an unending fiasco. Like, in a way, Trump's right, but you can't let them get away with what they did. And again, it's 99% Democrats, so he's giving his main enemies the victory. And then he's talking about how Bill Clinton's a great guy and a nice guy, and too bad he's got to testify to Congress about this. And Ghislaine Maxwell's a nice person, obviously trying to defuse things. And then meanwhile, he comes after MTG, who would literally, eat his shit off the floor previously if he asked her to save the country. And Thomas Massie, who's like a Ron Paul type, who's just very, very serious about his convictions. And so Trump turned them into enemies, made them more popular. Massey's more popular, even though they're trying to primary him, and put out that lie that she was polling bad, so that's why she didn't want to run. Trump didn't want her to run for the Senate. She didn't want to run for the Senate. So they just make up this bull. They attack their own party, and it's the stupidest thing ever. So, I mean, again, I need Trump to succeed, but this is so dumb.
Yeah, Massey doesn't give me the vibes of a bad guy. But when I watch Massey, he gives me the vibes of a good guy that he disagrees with them. What does he say? His famous line is, I'm with the president 91% of the time, and the 9% that I'm not is when we're fighting pedophiles and, a couple other things that he says there.
Attacking Iran. But, I mean, that's the other thing. Is that Lake Tahoe? That's pretty.
Was that what you say? Tahoe?
Tahoe. I love Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe. See what it is.
Yeah.
So, sorry. What was I saying?
Massey
like squirrel. Yeah, no, Massey's the type of guy that comes off a farmer, nice and friendly, but you start messing with him, he's going to fight back.
He's a fighter.
And so,
yeah.
And you can tell he actually likes it now once the fight's going. Yeah. So it's like, Trump, you keep picking fights with some of the...
You think he is a possible candidate for 28 for those that feel Israel's got a little bit too much influence, and for those that don't like the way Epstein was handled, you think he could be a leading candidate for 28?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if he can win, but he can definitely run and get a lot of votes and inject that issue into the larger discussion.
Massey. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's formidable. And he's got a following. There's certain people that swear by him and follow what he has to say. And, more and more you see him talk, you're like, okay, I was with Rand Paul the other day at D.C., and we're doing a conversation. Of course, he's a libertarian. I've spent time with his dad as well. And you see the way they think is slightly different, but there's logic behind it. There's reason behind it where the average person can say, this guy sounds like a reasonable player. How do you think this is going to end up? And maybe the better question, Alex, is this. How long do you think this is going to be a story that they're going to be talking about?
It would have already been gone, and they would have busted some of these top guys, and we would have moved on because the trail is cold. The FBI and Epstein, who ordered a truckload of acid to dissolve everything the first day he knew he was under investigation. I mean, the really bad stuff's been destroyed and erased. The people that know are the young women that are the survivors that were really accomplices in most cases. So we have the witnesses. We know who they are. They're right there. And that's how they contain the whole thing. Not demonizing them. It's just a fact if you understand investigations. And so the way Trump keeps doubling down stubbornly, it's only going to get worse, a bigger black hole. And it's already just murdering him in the polls, distracting from all the good work he's doing. And his greatest strength is his greatest weakness. He was always, as Roger Stone says, thick-skinned, pig-headed in a good way, doesn't give a damn. And he says that, he said Trump, even before Butler and all the persecution, had a total I don't give an F attitude. He said after Butler, it was intense. He said now Trump just does not care. He says, I'm on a mission. I'm going to save the country. I know I'm not involved with Epstein. I know it's a diversion. I know it's all the Democrats. So I'm not going to even have this tar baby fight. And if the American people don't want to save things and you want to impeach me and remove me, he literally says in there, people come in and say, sir, we need to do something about this. He'll say, and it needs to be like this. He'll start screaming at them. Like, remember, sometimes he goes, I'm sorry, I'm hoarse. I've been screaming at people behind the scenes. And he has a legendary temper. But it used to pop out a lot. Now it's like, fuck. I mean,
specifically on this topic.
Yeah. Or if you bring up the poison shots, he brought Kennedy in, and they're restricting it and cleaning it up. He never admits he's wrong.
Poison shots. You're talking about the vaccine, COVID
Absolutely.
vaccine. Yeah.
And the thing is that the Democrats can't bully him, and the media can't intimidate him. That's a good thing. But then it also, when his constituents are like, "Hey, this is what we elected you for," that pig-headedness becomes a problem. So it's hurting Trump. I don't see a month's 1,000 years of politics. Who knows what's going to happen? I hope we win the midterms. Here's what I want to say to the American people. We need to start discussing just being pragmatic. It's terrible. This is bipartisan cover-up. The Democrats act like they're not involved in cover-up. They are. Explain how the cover-up's working. Explain how bad it really is, who's behind it, the intelligence agencies, and that it's far worse than anybody can imagine. Keep educating, keep exposing, discredit the power structure, discredit the system, and then run candidates for office that are more hardcore and awake, and support Congressman Massey, support Tulsi Gabbard, and her work, support all the good people like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. that's just knocking it out of the park, and just say, hey, too bad Trump destroyed his legacy. Too bad, he put a big scar on how wonderful all this was in populism. But populists getting people in isn't going to be perfect. Populists are winning everywhere. This is the fourth turning. So Trump just rode in on a wave. More waves are coming in. So we don't let Trump define us. We define ourselves by what we stand for, and we are exposing it all. And I'm the guy that first talked about Epstein. So whenever I expose the deep fakes, people go, oh my God, you're covering up for Trump. No, I'm covering the real things he did and calling balls and strikes. So there's a hysteria just to say everything's real instead of actually doing their research. But I think this is going to grievously wound the Trump administration, and it has the potential to derail the American recovery.
What happened to the Trump that would fire people? First administration he was in, he fired Scaramucci within 10 days. I think 30 to 40 people that he appointed, he fired. This time around, his retention, he went from 43% turnover on the first term. Right now, they're at 28, 29%. How come he's not firing anybody?
I'd like to answer that question, but I have had a bunch of tea and coffee. I'd like to
use a restroom.
I'd like to piss like a Russian racehorse, sir.
Right there to your left.
I'll be right back. Thank
you want to go do that, Rob?
A very suspenseful mission to shake a branch.
Go do your thing. Go do your thing. Rob, what clips can we play while we're giving this break here? Because there are many, many different things that we went through. Trying to think if we want to go to this one clip that I pulled up. By the way, pull this up, Rob. Why don't you play the clip with the professor? Folks, if you've not seen this, the Epstein files have gotten so crazy that a teacher is approached by someone asking question, and look how this man out of Ohio State reacts when asked about Epstein. Go ahead, Rob.
Just one more. No.
Whoa.
Oh, God. I told you not to put that in my face. I didn't.
Dude, you can't do that.
Yes, you did. No, I'm not going to ask you again. Don't touch me. Don't touch me, motherfucker. Who the fuck put your hands on me, sir? You put your hands on me, sir. Oh, God. Damn, dude. You shoved that camera into my face, sir. Just one more.
Rob, what was that, Rob? What do we know about what happened there?
Let me see if
because the guy's been put on leave, right? He's been put on leave since that happened. But think about how many topics are out there that you can ask somebody of that causes this level of sensitivity where this guy, let me read the story, an Ohio State professor who was recently hired to help advance speech and civil discourse, is now on an administrative leave after assaulting a documentarian on campus. University officials confirmed Wednesday. On Monday evening, Luke Perez, an assistant professor affiliated with OSU, legislatively mandated Salmon P. Chase Center for Civics, Culture and Society invited E. Gordon G. to speak to his profiles in American leadership class. And what happened there? What happened to go a little bit lower? But after G spoke to the class on the building, DJ Barnes authored the local left-wing newsletter Rooster, and Mike Newman, a local documentarian, intercepted G as he exited a public restroom. They began asking him questions about his awareness of a campus doctor's sexual abuse of student athletes during his presidency. His recent defense of Leslie Wexner, a billionaire and former board chair of OSU, whose communication with convicted sex offender Epstein are under scrutiny, and his decision to sell OSU parking lot to a private equity firm. That's what it was questioned about. Very, very interesting. Can you imagine how deep these stories are that a professor is going wild over a reaction like this? And by the way, in a minute here, when Alex comes back, a clip came out about what happened in Canada. And I'm going to play this clip before Alex is coming up. And by the way, Alex is coming up, so I'll have him watch this because he shared it earlier this morning. And again, for those of you guys that are watching, Send a Manek to Alex. Any questions, any thoughts? You can officially Manek with him.
The real demon possession?
We're going to go to that, but I want to ask you the question first. First administration, President Trump fired a lot of people. Mooch got fired within 10 days. Nearly 40 people he appointed got fired. Turnover was 43%. Now turnover's in the 20s. He's not firing people. Why is he not firing people?
I've got a good idea about that, but I didn't answer your question from 30 minutes ago. Or 20 minutes. I should probably answer that first because it answers this question. You asked me, if we were giving Trump advice, what should it be about Epstein? And I really did answer your question, but I didn't explain it right. The answer is you can't tell him anything because he doesn't listen. I mean, he's gotten to that point now where he would listen to certain people, and if you could give him facts, he would change his mind. And he's gotten to the point where that's not the case. And now, if someone just kisses his ass, and by that, it's not that he even wants the attention. If they don't argue with him, then they can just stay around as long as they just tell him what he wants to hear, because he is beyond confident. I mean, at 79, he's just, and so I wish we could get Trump to be a little bit more retrospective about that and listen to people that have only given him good advice in the past. He needs to fire Bondi. He needs to fire Blanche. He needs to bring in hardcore people. I mean, look, if you're not going to indict the Epstein thing because it's old and a mess and we get all that, not that I agree with it, but I get the logic. I understand the thought process. I think it's a mistake. I predicted you'd make the mistake because I knew about your advisors. But we need a bunch of Ilhan Omar indictments. It's cut and dry. We need real deep state indictments, people like Comey and Brennan and Clapper. The public wants justice, and instead we haven't seen any of that. And going back to his first administration, Trump was really hands-on in the minutia, and he was checking on what people were saying. He was checking on what they were doing. I think he had more energy back then, and he focused a lot more, at least at first, on that. Then they came in and started calling everybody he was bringing in Russian agents. They got rid of Flynn and Bannon and others, so they kind of paralyzed Trump, because he really only fired folks that first year, if you remember, until the end that he fired again. Yes. So they paralyzed him with the Russiagate and putting him on defense and things. And then COVID, as a big distraction, brought out, they would basically brag as a way to derail his recovery and take back globalist control. They called it Disease X, and how they would get UN control through that. It's called the Operation Lockstep plan from 15 years ago that they implemented, basically as COVID, but that's a whole other issue. So that's that answer. What was the other one?
No, about why he's not firing people.
Oh, yeah. So,
why he's not firing people.
I mean, I don't know specifically. I know pieces of it.
I mean, he replaced Waltz. Waltz went from, one position to another position. That's not a fire. You're moving somebody, right, to kind of save face with media. But there's a lot of people that Trump 1.0 would have fired that he's not doing today. Why?
I don't know the answer to that question. What do you think?
Is it media? Is it controlling the point of contact? Is it
I've been told exactly.
Publicity?
I've been told by the people at the White House, they say he doesn't want to have the embarrassment of someone being fired. He thinks that legitimizes that there's a scandal that they've done that's wrong. And so, that's his main reason. I mean, you just answered your question for you. Yes, Trump doesn't. He thinks it's bad publicity to fire people. There you go.
Okay.
Which again, you got to fire Lutnick. He's a likable guy. He's really great at economy. He did move in next to Epstein. He said he went over to his house with his wife. He goes, there's a massage table. We give really good massages, the right kind. They were creeped out, never talked to him again. Now we learn, there was this meeting and that meeting, and talking to him about his nanny he wanted to hire, and then going to his island with his kids. But it's just for lunch for the day. Yeah, right. So it's because of the lying he's got to go. But Trump's like, that's my friend. Plus, it likely we've done something wrong. No, the public wants to see action, and then go fry some Democrats for what they've done. Hillary Clinton's head of her foundation was convicted of human trafficking kids out of Haiti. You can't swing a stick in the dark, and with the Clintons not hit real. Jeffrey Epstein's Ghislaine Maxwell is on record with the founding money for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, heavily involved there, but mainly with this open sea UN treaty, and even bigger, helping set up the Clinton Global Initiative. So I mean, the Clintons and the Democrats and all these people, they're all the people. So again, I know I keep ranting. It just makes me so mad to watch Trump doing this.
All right, let's go to the next story. El Paso. Shutting down the airport till February 20th. At first, they told us it was because of what did they see? They Mexican cartel drones The clips came out, Rob. If you want to play this clip, these are the clips that we've seen. Do you see the clips up top? Apparently those are drones. Some people questioning whether they're drones or not. Some people want to know if he is using his favorite weapon that they use in Venezuela. You know which one I'm talking about. He calls it the what? Discombobulator. You know, what is going on here, Alex, with El Paso? We haven't shut down the airport since 9/11, and it was shut down for 2 days. That's 9/11, and now you're shutting down 10 days for drones?
Well, we know that's down there by Joint Task Force 6, and it was our own Brianna Morello over at InfoWars that actually broke this early yesterday morning. Because she is a Pentagon liaison, to the Pentagon, and when she called and they said, we really can't make a comment, and then she first got the news that it was Mexican drones, and then now we know they're doing a drill. They've admitted an anti-drone attack training, and to do that, you've got to have really an active airport. You've got to have it really in an active zone. When you're there in El Paso, it's in the middle of the city. It's all surrounded. It's right there on the border. But it's not really overall a lie at the end of the day, because every week now they're having drones come up into El Paso. They're having drones harass the Border Patrol and the Army and Marines that are down there now. The Marines are in some areas of the border. And so it's technically, from what we've seen, not true that this was a drone attack. And obviously that big line of bigger drones, although that's the drone protection grid that they've got on ground and in air. They got a bunch of new systems. Israel has some really powerful ones too, but whatever you're being shown is not the really good stuff they've got. And so from what I've been told and from our sources, they're doing at least a 10-day drill on controlling that airspace, and that they're going to be launching their own simulated attacks by cartels or by even foreign governments or terrorists for control, and that Trump then wants to get the money. It's just pretty inexpensive comparatively to put up drone defense network systems over every city. And that's the lower level integration to the higher level anti-missile defense system, Golden Dome.
But shutting it out for 10 days to do that? Shutting it out for 10 days? That's a little weird to shut it down for 10 days, no?
Yeah, they're doing a lot of training. They're doing a lot of drills there. I mean, I'm not defending it. And I mean, here's the deal. There are real Border Patrol reports, like just a week or so ago down by El Paso. Remember, drones came across. They were shooting everybody. I mean, it's going hot zone down there. And so I have no doubt that, who knows, they probably are getting intelligence to the cartels. They probably are getting ready to use it as a forward air base to strike cartels. But you got to put a drone defense base up first, because we know they've got drones across the border and even artillery and missile launchers. So you were in the military. So if Trump's getting ready to hit the cartels out of Joint Task Force 6 as the forward base, and those other camps, what are they down there? It's like Biggs, the rest of it.
How much you know about the weapon that he talked about at Venezuela? Rob, you have that clip of when the president was talking about, the weapons they use. I can't talk about it, but he gave a little bit of insight. Go ahead, Rob.
You talked about the weapon, the discombobulator.
Yeah,
what is that?
Discombobulator. Well, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
But what does it do?
Let me just tell you, you know what it does? None of their equipment works. That's what it does. Everything was.
How does it?
It was my name. I'm very proud of the name. Everything was discombobulated. It was, practically a shot wasn't. They were ready.
Right.
And when we came, they couldn't do anything.
You saw this on the video. You could tell.
Tom, it discombobulated everything.
Nothing worked, even including humans.
Well, let's put it this way.
Out.
We lost no equipment in a very strong, and they're good fighters, great fighters. In a very bad environment, it was a military base, the biggest in South America. Because the house was in a base in in a very, very tough environment, we lost no men, and we lost.
Pause it right there, Rob. What do you know? What do we know about this weapon?
There are all sorts of classes. Remember, we always hear about the Havana syndrome.
Yep.
And they say it's not true, but they caught the Russians at our embassies in Germany and stuff, shooting them with radiation, back in the 60s. So this stuff goes on forever. Then they deny it exists. But there are all sorts of microwave gun weapons. There's also all sorts of systems that are special frequencies of sound that are either ultra high or ultra low. Generally, this would be ultra low, but generally those would be localized. When Trump talks about, and he has his science czar talk about, we've taken control of matter and time and space. They have a lot of theoretical physics systems where you, over a wide area, can create an effect that the Germans in World War II discovered that dealt with anti-gravity. The problem was when you turned on this effect, they have different names for it, it would make everybody completely nauseous. And if you kept turning up, it'll kill people. So that's why they were waiting with anti-grav. They need computers and robots because it doesn't affect silicon. Yeah, there's the Nazi Bell, and it was the Glock, and all those effects. So that's what you're talking about. So it's a whole area of physics. They've also got different type of particle beams that you can just aim from space. People call it space lasers, make a joke out of it. It's not a joke. A laser itself is just light. But if you have a particle beam with a particle accelerator or a cyclotron on it, be a small one or a large one, you take a bunch of heavy ions, heavy particles like uranium or plutonium that themselves aren't going to explode in a chain reaction, but have such weight to them, they're going to explode just with a kinetic force and cause little mini chain reactions when they hit things. So you just, and then the beam fires, and it gets all the ions, and then and so we've all seen that in science fiction movies, but that's how it works. And so now they've got stuff where they can fire similar things to that, but it has a resonance and like a vibration, and they can add that to these interdimensional fields they've got and fire that through it, and then just dissolve things. So the Air Force wanted to threaten the Russians and Chinese about 16, 17 years ago. So they had a press conference and said it was an accident. Remember how Putin showed the submarine with the missiles that create the tidal waves and all that on accident, and they let you see it?
Yep.
And the Air Force said, look, we have antimatter weapons, but we can't test them, but we theoretically know that we can already blow the whole planet up. So if you think what we had in the 40s was powerful, imagine what we got now.
Got it. By the way, have you ever done any sound effects for Hollywood for movies? You would kill it. Have you ever done it? Have you ever done any sound effects?
Before Obama came along, I never tried to get in that, and then people said, hey, you want to do a voiceover for this? So they Taft-Hartley, my voice is out right now, I can do better ones, but Taft-Hartley, when they put you in movies and stuff, you're automatically in the Screen Actors Guild. And so I got to where, right as Obama got in, I had some voiceovers because I was in the Screen Actors Guild where it was being aired on TV over and over again. I would get like $500,000 checks.
Stop.
Like one ad. Yeah, I would. I swear to God. And then they found out, wait a minute, you don't like Obama. So then I got blackballed and no more jobs.
So give me one of the examples of what you did. Like, what cartoon did you do it for?
I mean, I did movies, cartoons.
Seriously?
What I got paid the most for was like insurance company ads.
Rob, did you know this?
No.
I had no clue. Insurance company ads.
Yeah, I've done like whatever the names were. Here at Mutual. But you got the voice of God too, is what they call it. No, but even though my voice is out, I can give you some of the voice of God. Voice of God's like any of that big, like return the map, return what you have stolen. You're in grave danger. So that's like from Time Bandits. I can do.
That's great.
Autobots. Autobots, transform and roll out. Megatron, prepare to die. Megatron. But if I wasn't sick, I could do it better. And here's Darth Vader. If you only knew the power of the dark side, join me and I will complete your training.
Wow.
Yeah, I can do, but like if I have an insurance company ad or like a stock ad, it was the financial ones I got paid a lot. Because I forget that one, it was End of America, and it was like selling all sorts of financial stuff and instruments, and it was like experts believe the end of, and there's all this stuff. And I used to see it. I'd be in restaurants or bars, and the ad was on.
I had no idea, but I listened to your voice. I'm like, dude, this guy's so animated. Okay, let's go to the next story. You posted something this morning about the trans killer in Canada. This 18-year-old trans shooter murdered at least 10 people at Tumblr Ridge School yesterday, and you said demon possession is real. Folks, this video is very disturbing. Go ahead and play this clip. This is the shooter. Pause the clip. When is this from? What do we know about
This
this?
is from 2 years ago. I'll explain it all, but here's the more important part. I had like a member of parliament on like 20 years ago from the UK, and he was explaining they're targeting mentally ill and autistic kids for this to sterilize them. Plus, they know a certain percent will go crazy, but we should play the rest of it. And so instead of putting this kind of mental institution or whatever, who was having psychotic outbursts, talking about killing people, I mean, that's what psychotic mania looks like. They take them and put them on drugs that totally whack them out. Then they get depressed. They put them on serotonin reuptake inhibitors that say on the insert cause mass murder and suicide and suicidal ideations. So it's a cocktail. But if you look at the shooter in Minnesota, he's on the same videos with the weapons going, "I'm gonna kill him, Satan," and it's almost all of them are literally devil worshippers. And you can say, well, it's not real. Well, then why the hell does it keep manifesting? And what I've been told by the experts about the Satanism is when they drink the blood and do all the stuff, that's why the Joker acts like that. The Joker, Hollywood knows this stuff. They're showing you someone, that kid has been sitting there smiling and demonically smiling and laughing so long. If you look, he's demon possessed. That's literally a demon. You can see his face is all red, the Joker look. And that's what I was told by Ted Gunderson, because lots of you told me he wouldn't say on air. He said, no, in their lore, the face of the Joker is the face they make when they're killing people, and they'll do it so long when they're chewing up babies and drinking blood that the face turns red and does the Joker look. And then on the kids, they rape and rape and rape for days on end. They get what they call the panda eyes. And so these are real things that happen. So this kid's probably been, this is ancient every culture where it's the energy of the demon coming into him, and he's like, and he's thinking about mass murder right here. So, and I've studied this. I know this sounds crazy, but you can go find almost all these trans shooters, and their dads always work for the NSA, or they always work for the top DARPA company, and it's, you know.
Oh, shit.
Oh, yeah, and both Crook's parents, special behavioral psychology, and they're all in BlackRock ads, but it's the same MO, and they'll just have their guns and going, kill them, murder them, soon Satan, and this is it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And by the way, what do we know so far about what's going on with Canada?
Well, all they say is it does not matter. Both the police chief and the regional police chief said that what matters is we do not misgender her. This is a woman, and they say that is what's most important in the speeches.
What did they say? They said woman is in a dress? Rob,
Yeah.
do you have that clip?
Yep.
There's a clip, and then also if you can show the stats of the school shooting or the mass shooting you're seeing.
It's all
the trans, which
just type in police don't want to misgender Canadian shooter. I can find it. There's like the regional police.
Is that it?
This is one. There's one even worse. Yeah, go ahead.
That includes
Rob,
the
go back a
deceased
little bit,
gun
Rob.
person.
Start from the beginning. Go ahead.
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay.
Gun
and then
person.
separately,
Gun person is what he's calling it.
Yeah, this one's pretty bad, but that's not. There's a long one. Yeah, there it is. This one right here.
Female by the name. So a suspect is identified as an 18-year-old female by the name of Jessie. We have a history of police attendance at the family residence. Some of those calls were related to mental health issues.
We've heard all around the world reports coming out from different media, not local but world, and we've heard people from Tumbler Ridge, actually people that know the shooter, and they are all saying that this person is transgender. Why is the RCMP not speaking to this? Why are we hiding this from the public?
Well, first off, thank you for your question. We're not hiding it. In fact, you're the first media to ask the question. I will say this. We identified the suspect as they chose to be identified in public and in social media. I can say that Jesse was born as a biological male who approximately, the information that I have, approximately 6 years ago began to transition to female and identified as female both socially and publicly.
Gun person.
But see, it doesn't matter that it just killed 10 people. It's we need to get it right. Well, what did they chose to identify as a potted plant? Or an Apache helicopter?
Yeah, and apparently the uncle was interviewed or asked, and they said, yeah, he is a trans. There is that. And Rob, can you pull up the
We should finish the video, though. It's more of, you need to see the whole demon possession.
We'll go back to the video, but can you pull up the trans stats on what percentage of the shooters. We talked about it, I believe,
If
this
you
morning.
take gang-related out, it's almost all of them now.
Did you? Is this the one, Rob? Yep. Yeah, that one to the right. Mass shooting rates by demo, 2015 to 2025. Public incidents with 4 or more fatalities. Trans non-binary biological male, 0.769. Trans non-binary biological female, 0.667. Then Asian man, black man, white man, Asian woman, Hispanic man.
Let me just stop you. You know what they call it in Europe and here now. When you see Asian men, that's not Japanese men or South Koreans. It's Muslims. So they call Muslims Asian men.
You got to be kidding.
No, that's the Asian rape gangs.
You got to be kidding.
Asian rape gangs.
I was about to say, why are Asians on
Yeah,
this
so
list?
all the time they say when there's a murder or something that it's a white guy, even though in the mugshot it's a black guy. The way they do that to cover up for Muslims is they call them Asian men if they are Pakistani or Muslim Indian or any of that. Or Arabic.
Can you check to see if somebody in Grok asked, what does Asian man mean? And if it doesn't, you ask. And then if you can play that clip.
But look up what are Asian grooming gangs. It's the same thing.
Yeah, no. I'm trying to find out how that chart put Asian man and Asian woman. That's what I want to know. We know about the Asian grooming gang. We know about the Pakistani. We know about the inbreeding. I want to know what they mean by Asian man.
Oh, you're right.
What demo?
Good question.
What demo do you mean? Does it mean Asian men when they say Asian men? Yeah, that's fine. I am so curious. Well, it's going to take a minute for Grok to respond.
I don't know Grok knows this yet. But you can separately ask everybody or ask it, what demographic has the lowest violent crime? It'll tell you Asians in general. So how is it suddenly Asian men are up at the middle? That I believe is like in Europe. It's coming over. Is what they call it.
Rob, go back to the clip of the guy, the shooter, for us to see the ending of that clip. It's disturbing, but if you can go back to it, if you just go on Alex's Twitter account, you'll see it.
Real Alex shows.
There you go. Go for it. And go to 30 seconds.
Put this person on a bunch of hormones and stuff that makes them even more psychotic and give them a gun.
Unbelievable. This can be prevented, but it's all politics. They can't stop.
They take these people that are already autistic and give them the worst possible stuff. And I'm sure they'll probably blame this on Mossad soon, and because the Charlie Kirk's killer. There's no trans people killing anybody. It's all Mossad.
Let's go to that. Tyler Robinson, the roommate, the furry roommate, boyfriend, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if you saw this or not. He was found in Dallas. Do you have that story, Rob? If you want to find what happened there with Tyler, I'm sure you got some thoughts. What's going on there?
I mean, I saw it, but recap it for the viewers.
Yeah. What is the latest? What is the latest you know of what's going on there with the individual that killed Charlie Kirk?
Well, the reason I asked, I saw this last night about, quietly living in Texas. And, from all I've seen, it looks like an accomplice. Why aren't they being charged? What do you think?
Trans lover of Charlie Kirk, alleged assassin spotted after going into hiding. Moving out of state. Go a little bit lower, Rob. Go a little bit lower. The trans lover of Charlie Kirk's assassin, quietly Texas, 6 months after his partner charged for shooting right-winger influencer. Is this New York Post?
Yes.
In the neck? Interesting that New York Post writes it that way. Lance Twiggs, who authorities refer to using male pronouns, has fled his hometown of St. George. Twiggs, 22, is spotted with long, unkempt hair, a Taco Bell T-shirt. Go a little bit lower. Is that the same furry guy?
Yeah. That's the original photo of.
Okay, go a little bit lower.
So now he's back to being a man.
He's back to being a man. He's going to Taco Bell. Is it Taco Bell or Del Taco? What does it say at the top? That is it, Taco Bell?
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell. All right. I don't know how I feel about that. Go a little bit lower. Go a little bit lower, Rob. Even lower. Anything else? Twiggs has not been charged with crime. Authorities indication. Okay. Where are you at now? It's been months since his shooting. To me, he was number one draft pick. I don't think anybody was above Charlie. Charlie was the most important player in the conservative Republican movement long-term 60 years. They took out the number one draft pick. knowing what we've seen and read, what do you think's going on?
Well, let's look at Tyler Robinson. Everybody saw the mugshot of him if you scroll up. And, he looks like a pretty normal guy. But as soon as I saw him in court and watched the 25 minutes of it, he was wearing the trans tie. He was laughing. He was looking really psychotic. And, there was this lie that, he's such a nice young boy. And then you have his family that turned him in, and they're crying behind him. And then you have all these leftists in the town saying, when Charlie comes here in a few days, he's going to be dead. And then as soon as the shot fired, a bunch of liberals go, yay, great job, and stand up while everybody else is running. And then you've got this famous leftist activist down there saying, I shot him, and he told the police I did it so our guy could get away. That was coordinated. That's where the help is. But Kash Patel killed, and I confirm this with people that were in the room, any investigation into accomplices. And his argument to TPUSA was, and I talked to high level, I'll leave it at that, well, we don't think we can get those convictions. This is open and shut. So if we widen this, it'll make it too hard. No, it makes it believable. Plus, it's justice that we roll up this network of trans killers. They said we're going to kill them. 6 of them, 10 total, but 6 like the days before said we're going to kill him when he comes here. Within minutes, they said, see, he's dead. We told you. He had all these helpers there in the crowd. And then by limiting it and not bringing the stuff out, it allows people to push the idea that somebody else did it, which I have seen some weird stuff happen. There was a lot of bizarreness that day. I'm not saying it shouldn't be investigated, but overwhelmingly, we have these trans people out killing folks, evidenced by what we just saw in Canada. And in the last year, every confrontation I've had at a restaurant or on a hike and bike trail or on the streets of D.C. that we caught on tape is a trans person, and they never looked like actually a real woman. They looked like some crazy dude with sunken eyes, with bozo, the clown hair, comes over and threatens to kill me. And a guy in D.C. say, Charlie Kirk's gone. He got it. You're next. And he's going around me super fast in one of those mono wheel things, whatever those things are you stand on.
Yes.
And he's going like 30 miles an hour, almost hitting, 25 miles an hour, almost hitting people and swooping it out of traffic and coming back around me and threatening us. And I've had another one in a restaurant. I was working late, about 10 o'clock, pulling by myself. I go in the restaurant. I'm sitting there eating. This trans guy jumps up and says, get him out of here. Screw you, Alex Jones. We're going to get you. And they ended up grabbing him and dragging him out. And I said, I'm still getting my food to go, and left. I've been on the hike and bike trail. Had one of them come and say, we hope you and your family die. So I personally, they all think we're hurting them. They all think that they're unhappy because of us. No, you're unhappy because you're taking a bunch of dangerous hormones in a weird cult. And so just anecdotally, do I believe this guy killed Charlie Kirk? You bet your ass he was at least there. You bet your ass he's on video going through the hallways, down the stairs, and people are like, oh no, that's not him. He's a good boy. Or other people make an AI composite of him. People go, oh, that's AI, so all of it's fake. Well, we'll see. I know the government's corrupt. I know they put on show trials. I've been through a couple of them. But I really find it hard to believe they've got his family and everybody else and all the rest of it. And then he comes in with his trans tie looking like a Jeffrey Dahmer 2.0. So I don't know if you can pull up the footage of Tyler Robinson in court. And it's pretty creepy. I mean,
What's the trans tie? Yeah. You said trans tie?
That's the trans colors. That's the trans tie.
Got it. So he's representing.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the exact color, the exact stitching of it.
Did you see the George Zinn guy? What happened to him? The guy that stood up and walked up. Did you see the story about him?
No. Oh, he got busted for
man who falsely claimed he killed Charlie Kirk is sentenced to prison.
Oh, no. I didn't know that.
Rob, can you pull up that story? Is this it? Okay. Go a little bit lower. Okay, so a man who falsely confessed to shooting the late Charlie Kirk last year will face up to 15 years in prison for pleading guilty to sexual exploitation of a minor and obstruction of justice. George Zinn, 71, claimed to have shot Charlie Kirk. Zinn was arrested later, admitted that he was hoping to hinder the investigation by giving false information to the police and diverting officers who could have secured the scene or searching the actual shooter. What's a little weird about this, Rob, I think people forgot this clip, a lot of people. Go back to the clip where the moment Charlie gets shot, he starts walking towards it. You remember this?
Yes.
When that happened. The moment he got shot, there's a video. It's funny that you can't find it. It should be easy. I would say, stands up. That's amazing that this video was so easy to find.
I have it.
So you have it?
I think I have it archived. Hang on.
Oh, we've shown it before. We've shown it
Here,
before.
right here.
There you go. Go ahead, Rob. He just gets up and he puts his hands up. That quick of a reaction.
Instant. He goes, I'm
that
ready.
quick of a reaction. You think he wasn't on it? You think he knew anything?
Absolutely. And he's famous for showing up at other big, horrible events and doing key things like this. And definite intelligence operative. Turns out he's got cancer, I was hearing. So this is probably like, his deal to get some money for his family or whatever. But the point is that there was all sorts of weirdness like this going on that day.
So how far are you following the story with Candace and Erica Kirk?
Oh, I followed it.
What do you think about that?
I think Erica Kirk obviously is a theater kid, and so her way of coping with this was to get up there and really put on a big show. That's what TPUSA does. Look at their Super Bowl halftime was amazing, way better than Super Bowls. It was like, wow, I was like, damn, this is really good. I don't usually like watching rock and roll or anything on TV. I like being there in person. So people saw all the big pageantry after he died. They thought, well, this looks like she's not sad. No, that's her putting on a good face, going out and doing it. And I'm not defending everything about TPUSA. I'm not paid by them. I've been at a few of their events and spoke. When I've defended TPUSA, they go, oh, you must be working for them. No. I know that Candace had the Blixit, and they were going to use that for the Brexit stuff, and they bought her company. And then I know that she got upset about that, and I know that she was also mad about Charlie for some other things. And so the internet, it was a huge sensation, questioning whether there was other shooters, whatever. And we also covered it, lots of weird anomalies, like the bullet going in the neck and not going out the back. I mean, give me a break. So we have questions. I mean, I think it should be investigated. But to say that TPUSA killed him, and then the Egyptians, then the Israelis, then French intelligence, and then their secret meetings at Fort Huachuca, and the guy was at Fort Huachuca. We never said he wasn't. He was acting weird, and they detained him. But the point is, everybody else has alibis that they weren't there at some meeting the day before planning his murder. It's not how it works, anyways. And so I looked up the guy they had as a witness, and he was like famous con man named Mitch Snow, who said he'd already raised money before, saying my wife stole my son and beat me in the hands, and broke my feet with hammers, and locked me in the garage as a prisoner, and all this stuff. Wouldn't let me. And then meanwhile, he was convicted of that. And then his ex-wife just released the footage to everybody of him having the keys to the car, and him attacking with the hammer, and him breaking the doors. And I'm just like, Candace, you cannot have this guy say he's at Fort Huachuca, and he sees all these people, and then she goes, was this person there? Erica's old boyfriend? She goes, yes, him too. And was this person there? So it's kind of like, you just mail order to call the DoorDash and anybody you want to be in on this master plan meeting to murder. And as soon as we said this, she goes, oh, I'm not saying they were planning to murder him there. Well, that's what all your surrogates are saying. So I've known Candace Owens since she basically showed up at the political scene. And her first thing was a way to rat out and dox conservatives, and how women could go out and even date guys to set them up. That's kind of what the left's doing now. You hear them say, go out and date guys to set them up. That should have been a red flag. But then the left that she was involved in were false flagging her, posing as white supremacists to bully her, to think she was being stalked, so she'd sign her program over to them. So that's the left just all Jussie Smolletting each other. She comes on my show, seemed pretty nice and everything, and that was like 10, 11 years ago, whatever it was, 10 years ago, I forget. And then she just goes through this whole process where she's at TPUSA, and then she's at the Daily Wire, and all this stuff happens, and she's done some good work. But now it's gotten to where she's like, I'm here in Tennessee, and I grew up in Connecticut, and I've never seen the ice, on the trees not melt. It's 30 degrees. Why isn't it melting? And I just went on there and commented, well, ice melts at above 32 degrees. And then they all attacked me and said, you're wrong. It can melt at any temperature, she says. And then I even had one of her co-hosts was over at my studio at somebody else's show, and I made a joke to him in the hall. I said, so if Candace says ice is, melts at 30 degrees, He said, he goes, it does melt at that. And I went, he goes, and I said, well, I said, if it's salt water, it can. And he was like, exactly. It's just like, I mean, it has reached this cuckoo level now where what's going to happen is now that we've woken up so many people that weren't that smart, but now it's so obvious the government and the media is lying to them. Now they just think they can go choose whatever reality they want. You understand? And so the new thing is you're going to have people that serve the globalists, people that fight the globalists, try to build a new future, and those that just believe the earth is flat, that believe I'm a clone, that just believe everything's a fraud, that they don't think nuclear weapons are real, they don't think satellites are real.
Ask you one question. Here's one question about Candace.
Yeah.
Is if somebody said to Trump what Candace is saying about Erica Kirk, Trump would have sued him and put him out of business. Okay? She just came out. I think one of the girls this morning was telling me, I don't know who it was.
She says Erica needs to be arrested.
Yeah. So you say something like that. I just saw this morning. You say something like that. Why isn't Erica Kirk in Turning Point USA?
Listen, if Erica gets killed by a nut now, it'll be a false flag by Mossad. You see how it works. No matter what Candace does, she's insulated now. It's never her fault. Yeah, I mean, I believe Candace.
If it's defamation, that's a defamation lawsuit.
Well, I don't want to be mean to Candace, but I've looked in her eyes. I've watched her carefully. You can see the look. I think she's gone into like a megalomania. And I think her husband, I said this months ago, he needs to intervene. I don't mean shut her down or stop her, but she needs to go to and they go, oh, that's how the Soviet Union controls people. It's sending away to no. I'm saying I believe she's mentally ill. And she has this total scorn and just wants to destroy TPUSA. And you're right. TPUSA is one of the game changers that got Trump elected. 2.5 million young people just for the last election. It's expanded some now, but it's gotten really tainted by this. And she's in there attacking their donors. She wants the whole thing burned down. And it is malicious for maliciousness' sake. And she serialized all this made-up crap. I mean, what they claimed I did with Sandy Hook, I never did any of that. This is what they claimed I did. You just serialize BS and monetize it. And I hate to be mean to Candace because I like her as a person, think she's a nice person in the past. But notice that's Trump again. Because Trump will sit there and watch his most key pillars of support vaporized and not come in and support them. And I know TPUSA doesn't want to sue her. Listen, they have contract.
Why don't they?
They have non-compete stuff with her. They have their Blixit contract with her. They have all this stuff because they don't want to escalate.
But if they don't they also have where she can't defame them?
Yeah, all of it.
So then if that's the case, if she's breaking it and you don't do anything, you're confusing the market. So there's two things. Say you don't do anything. A percentage of the market will say what? Well, maybe she's right. Maybe they're afraid. So if you do something, then the market's going to say, let's see what happens. Here's a lawsuit. So to me, I don't follow this very closely right now.
I don't either.
I just get clips that are sent my way.
Check of it.
I get stuff that's sent my way, and, I follow the Macron stuff very closely. I thought she was doing a great job with that to see what happened. And we still don't know what happened there. But, some of the stuff is very weird with Macron and the husband. But to me, if TPUSA doesn't take any action, she gains more credibility, period. And if I'm Candace would say, well, if I'm wrong, sue me. Go ahead, sue me. That's a very interesting slippery slope. Trump would have stopped it a long time ago if this was taking place. I wonder why they're not.
Well, speaking of that, I'd like to give you an update on what's happening with InfoWars.
Go for it.
Okay, because I've seen you guys cover it, and you've been very overall fair, but I don't blame you not knowing, because it would take years for you to know it all, okay? Because I didn't understand it until later in the process. So 12, 13 years ago, a kid on a bunch of SSRIs, his mom buys a rifle. He goes, reportedly shoots a bunch of kids at this school in Connecticut. I don't ever say that it was staged for, I forget the exact number, like a year or something. Professors in Florida and Wisconsin and a bunch of other places, they come out and they say they think it didn't happen. And then they start giving what their evidence is. It becomes this sensation on the internet, hundreds of millions of views, some videos per video on YouTube, tens of millions. My listeners are demanding I have these guys on. So I have them on. I have them debate newspaper editors that think it did happen. And I probably did 10 shows on it total over the years. They put into evidence suing me 22 minutes. And it was just me with a caller going, like, I think it's fake. And I said, I can see it's synthetic. Yeah, fake. And then they would use that to then say I sent people to pee on the kids' graves and all this stuff that never happened, period. You understand? Much less from me. And then Hillary runs $25 or $26 million, whatever it was, of ads the last month of the run in 2016, saying Trump says Alex Jones is amazing. Alex Jones says this never happened. And they show like a 3-second clip of me saying synthetic fake. Then Trump wins. Well, then I didn't know what was happening. They start running, I'm not exaggerating, hundreds of articles a day, sometimes thousands. I get the Google alerts because it'd be like an AP article, be everywhere syndicated. Some days, 33,000 articles, but it would be AP in 25,000 places. But I'd be on every channel. Remember, for months and months and years, like they were invading a country. And I didn't understand. Well, they were running ads through these charities that were set up in association with Bloomberg and the families. Whenever you hear the families, there's 20 families. 6 people from like a couple families are who sued me. I only ever said the name of one parent. Okay, under the law, you're not supposed to be able to sue somebody unless you said their name. So I didn't know what was happening until last year when we got the documents. People pointed it out where to find it. Mike Benz type folks, not him. It was in the public record. So I'm sitting there for like 2 years before they sue me. I haven't even talked about it in years. Before they sue me, I'm like, I think it happened. Stop saying I did this to you. They were running ads on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where it wasn't for gun control. It's Alex Jones attacking us. They're attacking us. We need money. So we later learned they raised at one charity, just run by 2 of the parents, $300 million off of my name over like a 5-year period, and directly off of me. Like they attack me, the money goes for nothing. This they sue me. This the show trials happen. Boom. We then learned that the Justice Department would pay the Connecticut law firm 1 to 2 weeks before each time they would put their bill in each year, and then the Justice Department would give that exact charity, there's a couple of them, millions of dollars. We have all the screenshots off the federal websites, all this, okay? And there's a lawsuit being filed imminently, probably even today, finally, my civil rights lawsuit for all of this. So I didn't understand what's going on. Like, why am I on every channel? I barely ever talked about this. I'm in restaurants. People are going, quit making your money off those kids. They're saying I made hundreds of millions off these kids. They're saying I never made hundreds of millions. My company had made gross hundreds of millions, but that's like you sell a water filter and you make 35% on it. This guy sold $10 million of water filters. Yeah, we made $3.5 million, and we advertising and crew. It's like, business. So look, this company made $60 million this year. Yeah, and about $20 million of it was genuine profit. You pay half in taxpayer employees, So, but they're saying he's got hundreds of millions he made off these people. They're telling the juries, but here's the key. They said I never gave him discovery. I gave him all the discovery. Everything was made up that I didn't give him discovery. Then the judges find me guilty. It's called a default, which they did to Mike Lindell recently last year. Mike Lindell said Smartmatic and Dominion were doing things that were wrong. They've since been indicted. They've since had to admit a lot of it. But you know what happened to Mike Lindell? 6 months ago, the federal judge said, I'm ruling, you can type this in, judge finds Mike Lindell guilty, Smartmatic. The judge said, I find you guilty. There's no way to access a Smartmatic remotely or by the internet, even though it's built into them with phones. And so now he's going to tell a jury this year that Mike is guilty and the jury will rule against him. So that's default right there, okay? Judge rules. My pillow guy, Mike Lindell, defamed Smartmatic with false claims. He was defaulted. But in this case, the judge didn't even say he didn't give him discovery. They don't want his discovery. It's all to prove he was right. The judge is finding that it's impossible because these machines cannot be accessed. They have cell phones built into them and ports plugged into them. We have famous cases in the elections where the Dominion and Smartmatic crews come in during the elections and plug in. Everybody knows that. So the point is, this fundamental lie, this is how they get you now. We need major reform over this default garbage. So both judges in Texas and in Connecticut find me guilty. They then have show trials after 4 years suing me, 1 month after the next, right before the midterms. Okay, last time before, right before 2024. No, 2022. And so I'm in there, and there's lights, and they're putting powder on the judge and the other people, and the judge, kicks the jury out and cuts off the YouTube feed and says, now there's 20 things you can't say. You can't say you're innocent. You can't say you don't have 400 million, all this stuff. And I'm like, and so people say, why aren't my lawyers defending me? She would then go have conferences behind the deal, not let them have a record of it, and tell them, I'll sanction you, you can't do it. So it was literally totally rigged. First time guilty, but now she's got to have the show trial where the jury's told I'm guilty, given false evidence. They put on days of evidence that I had $300 million in the bank. The man never examined our files. It was just totally made up. He said our whole business model was different than it was. He talked like Thurston the Howell III. It wasn't even, and then the jury, we talked to them later, they go, well, since you got $360 million, we thought they deserved 10% of your money. I mean, 45 million. And meanwhile, I was negative in the bank then and had never made more than myself like $8 million, $10 million a year. Okay, those are my best years ever. I needed it for legal fees anyways. So I'm just sitting here, and the judge said those 2 days, you are not allowed to put on a defense. We had to sit there and say not one word while this guy just gets up there and makes up a complete
Who's this judge?
Fantasy land. She's literally you go to her Facebook. She supports, Antifa, everything else. Her judge's name is Guerra Gamble.
Guerra Gamble?
Guerra Gamble.
There it is. Yeah, Guerra Gamble.
Yeah, and then she is literally used to have like on her Facebook blue hair, and
her.
Yeah, that's her. And
what do we know about her?
In Texas, the judges are elected. She's literally financed by consortiums of Soros money, and she's just unbelievable. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
So where's it at now?
Well, listen, it gets worse. Then a few years later, the HBO produced a documentary. Okay, so it's all scripted. I'm forced to be an actor in this. I didn't understand until later. That's why I couldn't talk unless they couldn't say I was innocent. And she walks the red carpet at South by Southwest, where this is the main premiere at the big giant movie theater with everyone clapping like she's a movie star. Judges aren't supposed to be in a movie about their own deal that they shoot during the trial and then walk the red carpet and be part of the event. That is unbelievable. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Where is it at now? What I want to, how much have you paid? What can you disclose to us? What's next?
Well, yeah, that's how the lie always works. He refuses to pay the families. Of the 20 families, only 6 people sued me. Never said the names of anybody but one person. And so they got a $45 million judgment in Texas. They got a $1.4 billion in Connecticut. The interest on it's like $600 million already. If you remember, they asked for $2.67 trillion or 2.76. What was it? Guys, type in Bloomberg. Sandy Hook families lawyers asked for over $2 trillion. And so, which is the GDP of India. And it's all about horrifying people. It's all about driving people into submission. So
stop it.
Yeah, 2.75 trillion now. Sorry.
Sandy Hook family said a Connecticut judge should impose the highest possible punitive damages for Alex Jones, suggesting by one calculation could be as high as 2.75 trillion. And Musk couldn't pay that. Countries couldn't pay that. Where did it come up with 2.7?
The U.S. couldn't pay that right now.
Where did it come up with that number?
They got up and said to the judge. In fact, there's another Bloomberg headline that says lawyers for the families asked for 2.75 trillion. So you asked where this is going. Ladies and gentlemen, it's worse than I'm saying because there's so much to say. They got me in conferences. The only reason I can say it is because they said it outside of the mediations in Connecticut and Texas. And they said, if you just stop covering guns and stop supporting Trump and all this, we'll just drop all this. So this is all about pure harassment. They also have said they never want money. So they'll say in the news, we want money, we want money, we want money. He got all our money. He made money off us. That's not true. Don't have money to make money off him. They made $300 million off me fundraising, okay? And they got Justice Department money to fund their lawsuits. So on top of it, and you've got all these other high-powered politicians involved. But now, if they set this precedent, which they're doing it to everybody, Giuliani defaulted, Mike Lindell defaulted, all vindicated, doesn't matter. They're going to do this to everybody. This is their new thing, where they default you, and then now, I literally have almost no money in the bank. Under Texas law, I get to keep my house, my car. I don't care. That's fine. But I never had all this money, they said, and so we have it on appeal still at the state of Texas. The Supreme Court, Texas is going to overturn it because the stuff she did was crazy. Even though she found me guilty and then the jury agreed to that, she then, 2 weeks after the show trial, said, I'm finding you guilty of elder abuse because one of the parents is above 63 now, and I'm going to then bust the cap. It was like $500,000 so they could get to their $45 million. Well, she said, I don't care what the Supreme Court. She said in the ruling, I don't care what the Supreme Court says. I'm doing this. So the Supreme Court has that. That's going to get overturned. But I've already been to the Supreme Court on the Connecticut case. They refused to hear it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because in this case, you have serious conspiracy against rights, civil rights violations, where all these groups colluded. Remember when they said the Onion and Bloomberg 2 years ago or a year and a half ago bought InfoWars and it was shut?
Yes.
And then the federal judge overrode it? Then they did a bunch more stuff like that, turning the lights out, sending in armed security, all this stuff. I mean, it has been like the Alamo down there. And so finally, the federal court kicked it out in bankruptcy of 3 years, said we wash our hands because they would never agree to anything. He kicks into state court. Barbara Bellis, the same judge, she said, signs a receiver and tells him to come in and take it over. Under the law, he's supposed to sell it at auction, but they don't want it sold at auction. So now he has just come in and said he's no longer going to allow it to operate and fund next month, even though the money's there to run it. And so they're going to close the doors. He says somewhere around the 7th of March, finally, and we'll shut down. I have the Alex Jones backup network that other people own. I'll pop back on the air, follow me on next Alex Jones, things like that. But my point is that all the rules are being violated. Well, that's fine, because I've got good, high-powered lawyers now, and I had good ones before, but they didn't understand this was next-level corruption they were dealing with by the courts that are hitting them at every level, and not every court's corrupt. And the stuff we've deposed them over a year ago, just admitting that, oh, yeah, the plaintiffs and the families, we got together with the U.S. trustee of the Justice Department that came into my case, and we decided people that are going to work with Alex Jones will never be allowed to get this company. So that's why they had the staged. Auction, was because the judge ordered an auction, so they had a staged auction that wasn't real, so that Michael Bloomberg financing it could get control of my website. They said to confuse people about who I am.
So,
and I know you're a business guy, so you understand all this. Can you translate to the public what you think you're hearing?
No. I'm tracking. The question I got is, can a pardon help you in any way?
I don't think they have pardons for civil matters.
He can't do anything with that, right?
No.
From the top.
Only the public can pardon me by following what I do. Whoever my sponsors are, support them. Because here's the deal: I get to have my crew and have my show, and we're building a studio with folks even better than one before. And so, and under federal and state law, I'm allowed to get my paycheck. They can try to grab it and stuff, but I don't care. I live in a trailer. I live under a bridge. I don't care. They haven't taken away my voice. They haven't taken away.
Have they garnished your wages yet or not yet?
Well, that's the thing is they've never wanted to settle. So the courts keep telling them settle, but they'll never settle because they want to keep the protracted fight going, because it's about pinning me down. It's about, they say on TV, we want him off the air. We don't want money. We do this to harass him. We do this to silence him.
So long-term, InfoWars, what's the plans? Are you going to sell? Are you going to move?
They won't let anybody buy it.
They won't let anybody buy it. And whoever that probably buys you, they're going to destroy them as well. They're going to go after them as well.
Well, they're just not letting anybody do it at auction. So now now the Onion guy, who's fun about Bloomberg, he has said, oh, yeah, it's at the state receiver level. I'll be getting it soon.
I'll be getting it soon?
Yep.
What does that mean?
It means that they're not going to have an auction. Because, again, under the law, I'm supposed to have something sold so that part of my debt's taken away. Yeah. But they go, no. We have you with a no discharge in the federal court. They manipulated the judge there with deception. That's going to get overturned. So that no matter what I pay them, I never get out of it. You understand? It's non-dischargeable, which is the bankruptcy law is supposed to be about that. So then at the state level, we're like, okay, we got people that are ready to buy this for a bunch of money. They go, we don't want money. We're just going to wait, and the receiver's going to give it to us, and you don't get any money taken off what you owe us. Under the law, that's illegal. But they don't care because they got an Antifa judge with blue hair. I mean, imagine you go into a court and there's literal, Antifa sitting there.
So no, they haven't garnished your wages. They haven't taken any money from you yet. You are spending a lot of money with lawyers.
Well, let me be clear what they did. All I had was I'm not into big fancy stuff. All I had was a 127-acre ranch out in the middle of nowhere, an hour from Austin that was great, in a place I never had time to even go there. Okay? It was because it was an emergency. I had a little shack on it. That was really cool. It was like 150 years old. Cotton farmers lived there. And so they took that. They got $3 million for it, like triple what I bought it for. They got my little lake house that I bought for like, $300,000. They got like $1 million for that. A little cool thing right on the edge of a deal, but I never had time to go to the lake house. So in all my years on air, supposedly making hundreds of millions of dollars, I had this ranch and I had this other thing. And then and I had a Ford Explorer because you get to keep your main car. They got like a 7-year-old Ford Explorer. So they got all that. They had me audited by the IRS. And the IRS came back after a year audit and said, okay, you overpaid taxes the last 5 years, $4.3 million. So that went into them. But then they never want the money. They give it to the lawyers and whoever the receiver is to continue to wage war. And then they spend all the money with PIs and audits and corporate audits.
How much of that money went to the 6 families?
None of it. They don't want the money. They've said in hundreds of clips on TV, we don't want money. All of it is weaponized. They already get $300 million off my name in fundraising. They already get Justice Department money funding their lawsuits. So they got their $300 million, okay, plus off my name. I mean, they literally
the 6 families.
Yes, so they already got $300 million, and it's me, my face, ads. He's brutalizing us. Give us money, help us.
Why didn't the other 14 families sue you?
I think they went. They must have gone and researched. I never said anything about them. I mean, I literally watched a few videos, commented on a few people, had a couple debates about it, and then talked about one guy who I won't even say his name, but he's real famous. He sees the CNN cameras. They'll go, "Hey, you're supposed to be on camera," and he's like, "Well, ha ha ha!" And he sees the camera, starts crying. People said that looked fake. Okay, and so all I did was say, "Yeah, it looks like that to me." I didn't create it, didn't put it out, any of that. That's all they've got. And so when they say they've harassed me, when they say I've harassed them, when they say I've made money off them, none of it is true. They live off of me. But it's not them. It's the lawyers. It's the law firms. It's the Democratic Party. I mean,
yeah, it's pretty wild. So it's not closed. They want to extend. I remember when I got sued by the previous company I was with, the first thing I wanted to do was settle. The moment we settled, I could get my contracts with other insurance company. Later on, the CEO of that company and I had dinner one time, the guy that sued me. He says, what should we have done differently? I said, if you would have kept the lawsuit going, I would have lost a lot of contracts. I would have been out of business. So you should have extended the lawsuit and not settle for the check that I gave you. They sat there and thought about it. They obviously want to destroy you is what they're trying to do. Can they stop you from giving your thoughts and opinions?
No.
They can't stop doing that.
Well, look, that gets incredible. If you go back to June of 2024, when they got caught doing the fake auction and all that, they had the former federal prosecutor and head lawyer, my main inquisitor, looks like Eddie Munster, come down here with the one dad whose name I had said, and they would kind of bow up at the entrance and raw dog me, it was just pathetic. And they thought we were going to be shut down that day. And they put filings in saying, you can pull this up in Bloomberg, the 13th Amendment does not apply to Alex Jones. It applies to everyone else. He's a special case. We own his name. We own his likeness, basically. We own all. And remember, they went to X and said, we want real Alex Jones. And they said, no, we own that sub URL. And if you can sue and say you can get his content, then you show us the right court ruling. We'll let you download his content, but you will not get real Alex Jones. And Elon spent a bunch of money, got the whole file, countersued them, and they had to back off. Did you guys pull the 13th Amendment thing?
I'm looking.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. It's in a Bloomberg article. So lawyers say the 13th Amendment is Alex Jones is a special case. 13th Amendment doesn't apply to him. So they literally that's against indentured servitude and slavery. So they literally, if you want to, I think the headline will be like, the families, it's always the families, not Democrat PR firms and think tanks, the families of Sandy Hook want Alex Jones' social media. And it's in a Bloomberg article about that. It's also in articles X to intervene in Alex Jones' case.
There you go. You just found it, Rob. All the way at the top. Isn't that the one? Reuters? Reuters is probably quoting 1, 2, C. That's the one. Click on it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. The point is, you can read the filing. They said,
right.
They literally said, they own my name. Well, Only if you sign a 360 contract like Prince did with Sony or whatever it was, you can sell your likeness and you can sell your name. I've always free to aired my information. In fact, they got a big problem even saying they can own the catalog because I've always said in contracts online, so stations can play us without asking TV stations. I always say this is a free, non-exclusive license to the world. Yeah, there it is. There it is. The 13th Amendment does not apply to him. Wow. You got to read the filing. I mean, you can't make this up, man. I mean, they literally. And imagine, I'm walking into the courtroom, just like this.
Ready to get you.
One time my security had to come over because one of them came over like, he's going to. And he's like, you only gave us $300 million. We only live off you. We only made all this up about you. And then they just got to act like I'm this bad guy. It's fucking crazy, man. I just laugh at them like, you fucking lunatics. Holy and like one guy looks like Eddie Munster, like walks like a flying monkey. Like it was like, and my lawyers are like, who are these people?
Do these clips exist or no?
There's no cameras in a federal court. I'm just saying, you got to see these people to believe them. Because they know I haven't done any of this stuff, and they'll just sit there going, every time I turn on, they're just going like, and I'm just like, dude, you know you made $300 million off me. I didn't do any of this. The worst they got is me with a caller one time going, yeah, I can see how it's totally fake, synthetic event. I just move on to the next person. Like I said day one, I think Jussie Smollett's fake. If it was real, it's not why am I bad? You know?
Yeah, it's wild seeing from there to now. Alex, if today you're 22 and you're the same wiring, you're getting started in social media today, doing the same thing you're doing, would you do anything differently?
Oh, I definitely. Yeah, I mean, I definitely would have interviewed like those professors and stuff that were saying it didn't happen. I mean, because.
You wouldn't have interviewed those guys.
No, I wouldn't have because it allowed me to be set up. I mean, here's an example. People. There's a whole genre of real conspiracy theories where people speculate. What I've always done is really just cover news and analyze stuff people don't know about. The trouble I've gotten in is when I cover somebody else doing something, it then gets attributed to me. Like I said at the start of the show, after it came out in the WikiLeaks emails, WikiLeaks that were confirmed to be real in 2016, all this horrible Satanism, Aleister Crowley delivering kids to the hot tub for Podesta, we were just some of the people covering that. CNN, MSNBC, New York Times all covered 4chan and 8chan that were putting out disinformation. So they could discredit the real info. I just barely even covered them and said, I think they're wrong. I then got blamed for what they did. Now we know from the emails of Epstein and others, they were working with 8chan and 4chan to plant that. You see, but even when I even talked about it, they then turned around and said, because I was the target, you are the one, and tried to sue me, but that didn't go anywhere. So, but the Democrats used that off record. I can't talk about what happened off record. They used that threat. This is back 2017 to get me to go to D.C. to have a conference about some stuff. It wasn't just Pizzagate; it was other things. And they said, "Okay, well, this person's took them days to even get around to who this person is, but in a huge law firm, all this. But if you'll just stop and work with us, $50 million a year." And I said, I'm not going to do it. They said, fine, you're going to get sued, you're going to get destroyed. And then that's when all this started up. But I mean, I've met with Democrats that you see on TV, the lawyers and stuff. And it's just point blank, Alex, we like you. Come join us right now. And I'm like, no. So that's why when I'm down lower level and their lower level lawyers are at a mediation, with me, the head of the Koskoff firm, the judge and my lawyer, and the meeting starts, he goes, you ever seen the Godfather movie? And I go, yeah. And he goes, well, we're like that. We run the state. You're going to lose. So I got you down here for this mediation. I'm going to go talk to your lawyer, and he'll tell you the message. And the retired judge was like, wow, that was weird. I've known him for years and act like that. And then I get in the car with my lawyer, and he goes, well, I go, let me guess, they want me to come meet and agree to this and not talk about the Second Amendment. But he goes, yeah, how'd you know? And I said, I've got this before. So that was just the lower level giving me the message from the higher level. Like, here's the $50 million. And then by the time, we just won't destroy you down here. And I'm like, dude, Like, they think I'm for sale. I don't know how to sell out. In fact, I have so much energy and stuff because I'm going to fight for my life. And so I'm going to, and so I wish I never would have stepped into their trap. But the way God works in mysterious ways, I kind of think maybe I shouldn't have any regrets because it was all a learning process. And I learned so much, and how they operate got exposed in the process. And I believe in the end, things like this is going to bring them down. So, I mean, look how Mike Lindell, a judge finds him guilty, no jury, but then months later, everything about the companies comes out just like he said. Well, and now they called Lindell. He was on my show 2 weeks ago. You got to get him on. And he named names, and they said, listen, we'll drop our lawsuit against you, and maybe even, take care of some of the back money that you spent fighting us. Like, if you'll just not attack us anymore. And Mike said, I didn't attack you. I told the truth. And he said, I'll see you in court, and hung up on him. So see, now they've found him in default. Good, let's have the jury trial later this year. Now that they've already been indicted and it's all coming out. See how it works? So enough time on this. It's coming out about all of them. Does that make sense?
It does. I have one last question I want to ask you before we wrap up. You had an interaction with Marco Rubio. I don't know what it was, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. Rob, do you have that clip? This one right here. Go ahead and play the clip, Rob.
Google, does Facebook, does
That's why you didn't get elected.
Do they need to be regulated like do they need to be regulated?
Marco Rubio and the snake. Little frat boy here.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Who are you, man?
Yeah,
Who's
sure.
this guy? I swear to God, I don't
you
know
better
who
hope
you
you
are,
can
man.
deplatforming. Tens of millions of views.
InfoWars.
Bigger than Rush Limbaugh. He knows who InfoWars is. Playing this joke over here. That's why the platforming didn't work.
That's there. Whatever the timeline is. What year is this, Rob? Can you pull up the year?
I remember it. This 18. Is like 8.5 years ago.
Okay. From there to now watching how he's handling himself, has your opinion about him changed?
Well, first, I want to be clear about this clip.
Please.
They were having hearings about censorship where they were talking about me, and the Google head was there, but I couldn't ask questions. So I'm already hot and bothered, and they got these scrums all over. So I walk over, and he's doing a scrum with like 4 or 5 reporters. So I sit there politely, and we put the raw video out, but then they banned us right after this, so we should re-upload it. So much stuff that I remember, we'll try to find the full thing. I walk over, and I'm polite, and I wait. And I say, shouldn't we do something about censorship and, what's been happening to InfoWars? Because that had just happened. And he goes, who are you? He goes, who are you? And then he turns and ignores me, so I wait a while. Then I start being smart mouth. So the media cut it to make me look like I'm a dick, you understand? So I didn't just walk over to him and be a jerk.
Have you guys ever interacted prior to this or no?
Well, no, but here's the thing. I've always thought he was competent, very well-spoken, and I knew he used to be more neoconish. That's how the structure was. He's been a great guy for Trump. He's got the best numbers of anybody in there. And so I don't want to be enemies with Marco Rubio. In fact, 6 months ago, I know I'm in there, they told me they got into the State Department documents of the 12 people they're mainly targeting when Trump first got in at first. I'm one of them. And then we know it up to 30. And I've got these documents, a bunch of them. I'm in Crossfire Hurricane. I'm in Arctic Frost. I'm in it all, man. I've been, I forgot the Sandy Hook thing. It was the CIA went, and that's come out and got the Justice Department to do that as well. CIA, FBI ran all this. I forgot that. The FBI initiated the lawsuits, all of it. So I was trying to get him to do something about it. I advised J.D. Vance when I already knew he had the nomination. Nobody knew it. We met up in Detroit, and I explained. I said, it's the Countering Foreign Disinformation Propaganda Act of Obama. That's how they put the stay-behind networks or sleeper cells in. When Trump got in, they put a couple $2 billion that tied into other agencies that already had money for other programs, over $20 billion, to be able to then engage in propaganda and undermining you. And Vance is like, yeah, we're on that. We know about that. But the point is that all the stuff Mike Benz now has just vindicated all that. But I've been aware of this whole plan, and that's why they've been after me, is because I actually know how their plans operate. Sorry. Oh, back to Marco Rubio. I would like to be nice to Marco Rubio, but he goes on to basically threaten to kick my ass in the club. He says
that day.
Yeah, he says if you touch me again, I'm going to have you dealt with. And I said, oh, your bodyguard? He goes, no, I'll take care of him myself.
He said that. Good for him. Question I got for you is, right now, okay, this is February 12th is what it is right now. Who is your number one candidate, draft pick for 2028 president on the Republican side? Is it him or Vance?
Is it who I think can win? Or is
primary general? Because those are two different things.
I like J.D. Vance better and think he's very well spoken. and is presidential material. I trust him more, but I gotta say, I think both in the primary and in the general, I think even though they're best buddies and two peas in a pod, I mean, I think that's because Rubio's keeping his competition close. I mean, I'd have to say Rubio's got the edge.
Rubio's got the edge.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. Even though you like JD, you think Rubio's got the edge.
Well, there's enough, though, conservatives that are anti-war that might taint it. But just for his performance and the way the way he comes off. I mean, Vance comes off great too. But Rubio gets to also be at the big peace summits and the war operations and all that really powerful stuff. So and then he handles it very well. I mean, he comes off very presidential. So I'm just being honest with you.
Okay, sounds good. We are at the end of the podcast.
Tell people where to find me.
Say that again.
Tell people where to find me.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, InfoWars will probably be shut down. I know it's happened a bunch, but this is probably it in the next 3 weeks. You'll find out about the new network, the new URLs, the new news sites at Real Alex Jones on X, on Rumble at The Alex Jones Show, which I've just started promoting Rumble. So we're going to build that up. And on anywhere else we're allowed. We're still banned everywhere else. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. Oh, what's going on here?
We got a gift for you, buddy.
So Real Alex Jones and our backup network at AJN Live. And Patrick, thank you, brother.
Anytime.
Thanks for having me.
And in the interim, folks, it is his birthday yesterday. So we got to sync for you. We got you a cake. We got you a few things. On 3, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alex Jones.
What the hell?
Happy birthday to you. And Rob, can you bring me the other gift hidden so I can give it to him?
Yes.
And listen, I knew about Manek, but now that I've really looked at it, it looks badass. I can't wait to get involved in that.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to be able to access you, ask you questions. And I thought it was appropriate while we're doing this.
Is the girl one of the presents? It's a joke.
No, but this gay frog is.
I get a boyfriend, not a girlfriend. Thank you. All right.
So we got you that. We got a couple other gifts. We got this shoe that we built the last 2 years, made in Italy, 100%. Your size, future looks bright shoe. So when you're sitting there in business meetings, folks will see that the future looks bright. This is yours.
Right now.
Go for it. See if it fits. Hopefully we got the right size.
Shoe fits, you must have quit.
Let's see it.
Hey, I need people to give me stuff. I don't have any money.
There you go. Sick. There you go, buddy.
Me and Patrick get married.
We'll make the announcement on the next podcast.
They fit perfect.
There you go. There you go, buddy. Congratulations. Happy birthday, buddy. You're the man.
Thank you, sir.
Take care, everybody. Go send him wish him a happy birthday on Manek and follow socials. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.